Welcome back, everyone. Here we go. We are getting ready in just over a minute's time to go racing. We have all the drivers standing by for the start of this one. It's going to be quite a spectacle, we would hope. As always, I am your host, Isaac Fogarty. Welcome to, well, Fogarty is my actual name, I should say. Welcome along. This is going to be quite a long race. It's just me in the commentary box at the moment. Hopefully we'll have some friends joining us very soon. For now, thank you for tuning in. If you are currently watching at home, we are very excited to have you here. Gonna get ready. Just making sure the stream is looking good. We have 31 seconds until we start our race start procedures. Going racing for 3 hours here at Mount Panorama. Let's have a look at our entry list for today. So, Nick Carter will line up solo for this one. He's the only solo driver in the field. He's a wildcard entry, so not worth points. Tyler Lanzell and James Hammond will line up in the 98 BMW. Brad Money and Scott Smith in the 238 Aston Martin. Riley Nicholson and Andrew Griffin in the number 7 Aston Martin. Sayo Levick and Aidan Rogers in the 253 Mustang. Scott Smith and a different Scott Smith and Craig Suter in the 862 Aston Martin. Les Samwith and Matt Donetti, a force to be reckoned with in the number 15 Ferrari. Number 23 in a Porsche is James Dalton and Luke Muscat. Ridwan Ibn Hamza and Chris Lashbrook in the 14 McLaren, and Wayne Gardner and Grant Scarr, who didn't qualify, will start from last. They're in the 77. So, as we're looking, our grid looks like it's in order. We have 4 minutes and 10 seconds till the race start here at Mount Panorama. Let's have a look at our track map. So, we've got 6.2 kilometres of circuit around here, 23 corners, and I believe something like 190 metres of elevation change up and down the hill. 2 compulsory pit stops for fuel and tyres throughout this one. You may see drivers make more stops throughout this race, but at least 2 mandatory pit stops will have to occur at some point throughout the racing today. And a minimum driving time of 1 hour and 15 minutes from each driver. That does not go for Nick Carter, who's driving on his own. He can do the whole race by himself, but the rest of them have to split the driving time accordingly, 1 hour and 15 minutes each. So that is all the information we have for you in the lead up to this race. We've still got 3 minutes and 24 seconds left. We're going to have a look up and down the grid now. So Nick Carter, we've got Brad Money in second, and then we have Scott Smith and Craig Suter coming out of third. This is Ridwan Ibn Hamza and Chris Lashbrook out of fourth. Les Samwith and Matt Donetti in fifth. A brilliant qualifying for them. Jumped up late on in that session. A blistering lap to put himself up in fifth. It was a great lap. Sal Levick and Aidan Rogers will start sixth for this one. Tyler Lanzell and James Hammond coming out of 7th. We've got Riley Nicholson and Andrew Griffin coming out of 8th. Luke Muscat and Jimmy Dink in 9th. And then Grant Scarr and Wayne Gardner, who didn't qualify in this one, they'll start 10th for this one. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I have a friend joining me in the commentary box by the name of Josh Green. Josh Green, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. How are we travelling today?
Mate, we are living the dream. We're playing admin. We're playing problem solver. Hopefully, we can get this 3-hour race underway without too many complications. It looks like the grid's in the correct order, which is the part I was most concerned about. So, beautiful. That's good. That's good. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. We've had a bit of a crazy week, but I am happy to be here and in the booth with you, and I can't wait to watch 3 hours of absolute on-the-edge racing.
Mate, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. I am so excited. You have no idea. I've been looking forward to this. I think I'm actually more looking forward to sitting and commentating this than I was to actually race in this, which goes to say something about how I feel about racing.
Yeah, especially around this track, it can be tricky and unforgiving, especially with if you nick one of those walls, the repercussions, you can go nearly 30 seconds worth of damage and it can ruin your race. So
Yeah.
I feel very comfortable in the commentary box with you today there, Isaac.
Yeah, no, I think this is where we're meant to be today. This is the safest place for us to be, I think. Safest place for the walls.
Indoors, out of the sun and watching.
Yeah, exactly right. We should have Justin joining back with us as well at some point in the not too distant future. I see you're also in here as a spectator. You've got your own screen going, so we'll be able to get an alternate point of view from you as well, from who you watch, who you check in with. So when Justin jumps in, I'll throw my screen share up for him. Justin just said that he'll leave it to me and you, and if one of us jumps out, then the other can jump in. No worries. It's also Justin's birthday, so happy birthday to Justin Ladaway.
How old's he turning today?
I'm pretty sure it's 19.
19, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I'd say that too. He's had a bloody drink from the fountain of youth.
Yeah, 100% he has. So let's get this show on the road. Let's get an alternate. There we go. The nice external camera angle there. Put the little logo up in the corner there. Excellent. It's all coming together, which is what we love to see. So Nick Carter is driving by himself, and he will lead the field away for this one. Hello to people watching. We have 3 people watching at the moment, and I think I'm one of them. So hello to those who are watching as our grid rolls away for their formation lap. So it says it's 11 a.m. It's not supposed to be 11 a.m., but here we are. I think we're going to be finishing this race in the dark, unless we want to. Let me check. We might have to fix that. Nope. The race clearly says that it starts at 6 in the morning. But oh well. Guess we're finishing this race in the dark, Josh.
Excellent. Wouldn't have it any other way. Now, there will be a significant temperature drop as we come into the night, so I wonder if the tyre pressures will come into the strategy.
Yes, I'm just trying to decide whether we abandon start and red flag it to reset, or whether we just let's just let him go. What do you think? Live on air admin meeting. What do you think? What do you think we should do?
How long have the boys been waiting around all day?
They have been waiting around all day, yeah.
It's definitely a tricky one. I personally, if I was racing, I wouldn't care. Get
Fair
the show
enough.
on the road.
All right.
But I don't know. It's 2 to tango. So what's your thoughts?
Look, I think they're not going to be too happy. They weren't too happy about starting the race in the dark, so I don't think they're going to be too thrilled about finishing the race in the dark. So, if it was me, I would just do a quick reset of the whole thing.
Yep,
and fix it.
I reckon we should go with that. We should just quickly reset it, get the shit show back on the road, and away we go.
Yep. Can you put a message in the Discord to let them know that's what we're doing?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Pre-race waiting time. I'm going to go for 60 seconds of pre-race waiting time. Hour of the day. 6. Hopefully that works this time. Apologies, everybody. There's always technical difficulties with the Assetto Corsa. It never runs the way you want it to. Day 2. Save. The chat was saying let them go, but we will reset it and make sure that everyone gets in. So the server's going back up now, and as long as everybody rejoins in the correct order, then we should be good.
they need to be registered to come in, so. There we go. Look at those cars.
This looks better. This looks a lot better. We're back on now. Apologies, everybody, but we are back up and running now. So, hopefully, no more hiccups from here on out, please.
30 seconds.
Man, look at these cars with their headlights on at night. It's something else, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. It makes for excellent viewing. I'm going to quickly tune into Mr. Nick Carter. Get the external shot. Here we go. All right. 10 seconds. Take 2 here at the mountain. They're underway for their formation lap. I don't think they were super happy with the restart there, but all good. We go again.
And that's the dramas of being an admin and also a steward. It is hard to please everyone, but
Correct.
if the rules are there, we've got to stick to the rules.
That's right, and we said the race start time would be 6 a.m, so it's just a little bit past 6 now. By the time they get around, it'll probably be about 6:30. This one gets underway, so a bit of a sunrise race start for these guys. But very lovely looking grid, I have to say. We've got
There's some very, very skilled drivers on this grid. Nick Carter, wow, what a bloody performance in that quality to come right at the end there and snag it away from Mr. Mitty.
Yeah, he did an absolute brilliant lap. The other guy, I want to say, did a brilliant lap, and we talked about this in qualifying. We unfortunately missed his lap, was that of LJ, Les Sandwith. He did an absolutely stonking lap to go from 9th to 5th. I believe we found well over a second in that second lap, and he did the whole thing with a damaged car.
LJ possesses a skill. I've raced with LJ for a while, and he is incredible. He can just put down one lap out of nowhere.
Yeah, he when he doesn't, well, he wasn't. I don't believe he was streaming qualifying. So when he's just in the zone and he's locked in, he's got some pace on him. So we'll have a look at the grid a little bit. So we've got Nick Carter, looking at Sailor, then we've got Ridwan Ibn Hamza as well there. He's qualified 4th. It says 5th, but we have to start them one back, otherwise it sort of glitches out a little bit. Got Brad Money there. He's starting on 2nd in the Mercedes. Not his typical car of choice. He likes to use the Aston Martin, but the Aston Martin was not available as a wild card car. So he had to choose the Mercedes. That's what he stuck with. Tyler Lanzell starting out of P7. Not the qualifying they probably would have wanted in that car, in the BMW, but they've got a long race ahead of them, and they've got a lot of pace. Both him and James Hammond, both very talented drivers. Tyler's proved that time and time again throughout the mini-series, and James Hammond has, or Dask as he's more affectionately known, has a bit of a reputation in the ACC sim racing community, especially on console, for being somewhat of an alien. So I have no doubt those guys will be up the top pretty quick, smart. And it looks like Andrew Griffin is starting from the pit lane, it would appear. So they missed the start, and they will have to start from the pit lane. So that's unfortunate for them. That's what would have been your entry, Mr. Green,
Yeah.
the number 7 with Riley Nicholson.
Yeah, that would have been Mr. Riley. We're going to go in it together, but I decided to have appendicitis. So
What a selfish decision that
no
was from
driving on
you.
the sim ring.
No driving. Is that doctor's orders?
Doctor's orders, and I tried doing it the other night, and the only way I can drive is with 0 full feedback.
Yeah,
And
wow.
we know that's not possible.
No, that's certainly not something we'd want to do. But there, as we enter the chase now, we've got cars starting to sort of form a little bit of a grid. They're getting very close to each other, so I think we'll see formation starting quite soon. We've got 10 cars on this grid. 9 will line up for the green lights, and then one will have to start from pit lane. It says there's 12 cars up the top left-hand corner. However, that is because we are sitting in the server. Drew Griffin is saying we need a red flag. Why do we need a red flag?
Yeah, all the drivers have been swapped around. We need to reset it and put a 5-minute practice so they can do a lap and swap drivers.
Well, I think we're just going to have to go with what it is now. We are lining up for the start, and I think it's just going to have to be the way it is, unfortunately, because we are about to get our 3-hour race underway. That is the green lights. We are away. The timer has started. Nick Carter and Brad Moroney, fairly even start off the line, and I think Nick Carter comes out on top. Scott Smith has a look underneath Brad Moroney. That is Tyler Lenzel into the wall. There's cars making contact everywhere. We have cars all over the track. I'm going to try and get a shot of this, and it looks like that is Tyler Lenzel going the wrong way. He is sideways. Andrew Griffin. That is super disappointing for Tyler. He had a very good group position, but it's a long race. There's a long way left to go. There's going to be heavy damage on that 98 BMW, and he will not be happy. We all know that Tyler is a very passionate guy. He's very enthusiastic about his racing, and he will be frustrated early on. That is a massive incident straight out of the gate here.
Yeah, I'm just going back through the replay now just to see what happened. Tyler is a very, very consistent driver, but we know he can come back, and it's a 3-hour race, so I have no doubt he'll be able to call this one back.
Yeah, it's a long way to go. So Nick Carter leads as we start, go halfway through lap 1 here. Scott Smith sitting in second. Ridwan has found his way up to third. So our mini series championship leader making hay while the sun shines and finding his way up into third ahead of Brad Moroney, who's got a bit of a difficult start. So he was on the outside of turn 1 off that race start, and he got pushed slightly wide, and it looks like it's just meant that Scott Smith was able to get underneath him, and Ridwan has followed him through. And then Les Samwith currently up in 5th as well. So a brilliant start for these guys. Scott Smith, fairly decent gap at the moment over that of the gap Nick Carter has back to Scott Smith's fairly decent at the moment. Grant Scar up into 7th place. They started last in this race because they did not make qualifying. Him and Wayne Gardner started from last, and they've found themselves up into 7th. Obviously the cars behind had a couple issues early on. This is Jimmy Dink behind, or James Dalton I should say, behind him, and looking to make up places now after that early contact, after what seemed to be a fairly messy race start. I'm not sure if you can shed a bit more light from what you've seen on the replay screening.
Yeah, just going through the replay there, Tyler was holding the inside line whilst car 253 was on the outside, and there was just the littlest bit of overlap in the slightest touch, which sent Tyler into the wall and then shot him across the track, and then, you know, it's a domino effect after that. But still a long way to go. I reckon that could be a good comeback here.
Yeah, it's still, as I said, long way to go in this race. We're just looking. Tyler is continuing on, so if he does have damage, he's going to continue on with said damage. So Nick Carter leads the way here. 1.2 seconds is the gap back to Scott Smith, who has Ridwan Ibn Hamza for company. This is the 253 car of Sayo Levick, and he's got Les Samwith right behind him. That was a move for position there, so he's found his way up past up past LJ, I should say, into 5th. And these guys trying to find their rhythm fairly early here. This is a long race. We're only 4 minutes in to a 3-hour race. I would expect, for the most part, these guys might get fairly spread out. We have a lot of racing, a lot of laps ahead of us. I think LJ tried to predict this would be about a 500-kilometre race, and I think we'll probably get close to the 700-kilometre mark if they keep up this pace by the time we get to the end of this one.
Yeah, and I want to touch on the strategy quickly. Because of the temperature changes throughout the day with the time progression, I wonder if they'll go for a 1-stop or even maybe a 2-stop.
Well, they've got to do at least 2 stops. So we discussed this earlier when I did my little track map. We've got 2 compulsory pit stops for this race, so they have to stop at least twice. You're not going to get home on a 1-stop unless you're an absolute god at fuel saving, because the fuel tank around here will only last you about 28 laps. So I'm going to bet 28 laps to a tank here, 29 maybe if you're going full ball. If you fuel save, you might be able to get a bit less out of that. But that was the numbers we got for the Aston Martin. So we'll have to look into that as we go on. But this is Ridwan. He's chasing down Scott Smith here. He's not letting him go early on in this race. Nick Carter is sort of starting to pull a bit of a gap to these guys. 2.4 seconds is the gap between himself and Ridwan. And he's starting just to pull away a little bit now. There we go. So, this is interesting. So, Hyper, Brad Money, looks to be maybe struggling a little bit here at the start, because now he's got Sale Levick right behind him, who was not too long ago just passing that of LJ. Griffin's off. Where is Griffin? Let's see if we can find him. There we go. Oh no! Contact with Tyler Lanzell. More contact for Tyler. That is so heartbreaking. Griffin is trying to spin the car around, I believe.
I think the damage would be too much. He's going to have to, yeah. So Tyler has been towed back to the pits.
That's so disappointing for Tyler. And then Griffin will turn the car around and get it going again. That's so disappointing for these guys. That's massive damage as well to that car. He may have to get a tow back to the pits as well. So that's two massive amounts of damage early. Devastating for these guys, as you said. So disappointing. They were running so well in this race. They looked really good in practice and qualifying. And that's the reality of the mountain. It can bite, and bite it has very early on for those two guys here. I'm not sure. Did he just sort of go in on his own there, Greenie? Griffin across the top?
I haven't been able to check the replay, but it was just such an unfortunate contact with Tyler. Tyler just so did try to get his laps down to catch up to the pack, and Griffin did the right thing. He sat there on the brakes, and then, yeah, there was just not a lot that could happen on such a prime part of the track.
So disappointing for them. I'm just reading through a couple of the chats the drivers have been sending in. So it's saying that Griffin wasn't supposed to start that car, and I had Riley down as the first driver to start. Oh,
Hamza has spun.
Hamza has spun. Oh no, I just saw that. He has spun at a very awkward part of the track as well. I wonder if he's done that on his own. He's going to get the car going again. He's going to try to. But here comes...
It's in a terrible spot.
Terrible spot.
Well done, guys.
Well done to... That was Scar, Grant Scar,
Well Scar and JD.
And JD. They've done a brilliant job to avoid all contact there with Hamza. He'll be very frustrated because he was up into third and chasing down Scott Smith. I'm not sure... Might have to get you, our local replay expert, Greenie, to figure out what might have happened there with Ridwan if he did that all on his own. Because that's a very weird section of the track for someone to spin. So,
yeah,
I'm very,
this is
very
where I want to
curious about
reiterate that, you know, the mountain can come out and grab you at any second. Ridwan is such a capable driver, one of the most consistent drivers from Gran Turismo and now onto ACC. So for him to spin there, it just shows you that, you know, everyone is, the mountain can bite you.
100%. And that is our championship leader as well. So currently first and second in our championship is Tyler Lanzell and Ridwan. So our two championship leaders have suffered a bit of a setback early on in this race, which opens the door for Craig Suter, who is currently sharing with Scott Smith in the second of the Scott Smiths in the 862 entry. And if he can outscore by enough points over these guys today, because there's only 7 points between himself and Tyler, and about 64 points between himself and Ridwan. So all he has to do is outscore Ridwan by 64 points. Which means if I just look at my point standings here, because I've got a little stat sheet here. So 64 points is what we need. So if Scott Smith can somehow win, where is he at the moment? He's second on the road. If Scott Smith can stay second, that's 138 points in the bank for him, which is a nice, solid haul of points. Sorry, this is for Craig Suter. So if these guys can stay second, then Ridwan has to score 74 points, which means he has to finish at least... What is that? That is... No, we'll go to this one. Look at my points scores here. He has to finish... Well, he has to finish, essentially. As long as he finishes in the top 10, he gets enough points at this stage.
Nice.
If Craig Suter and Scott Smith can win, then Ridwan has to finish P8. Which he currently is doing, which is where he currently sits, I believe. He currently sits P8. So he has to finish P8 to wrap up the championship. Which he currently...
Sorry, I'm just going through
sits
this.
P8.
This little spin that Ridwan went through, comes out of the cunning, and just a little mistake got on the inside curve there, and it just unbalanced the car, and he was just a passenger all on his own.
Yeah, well, he's going a lap down here now, so he's getting blue flags. He's come out of the lane. He's going quite slowly, I think, just to let these guys pass, possibly. I believe that's what he's doing. He's stopped on track, by the looks of it. So I'm not sure what's happening with Ridwan here, but he's not got any throttle input. He's not going. Not sure what's happening here for Ridwan.
Is this a disconnect?
This could be very detrimental to their championship if
There
it is
we
a
go,
disconnect. He's in reverse.
Gear input.
Got gear input. So he's
Got
got
no
a gear
pedal
input.
inputs.
Got no throttle input for the number 14 car. So he cannot achieve he cannot get the throttle going at the moment. This is absolutely killing time.
Brakes.
He's got brakes. He's got no throttle. He's still yet to get throttle. I'm just checking to see if we've got any messages coming through about what might be happening. We don't yet. He's still yet to get going.
Not even 15 minutes into the race, and there's just been so much action already.
It's all happening early here. The mountain is biting early with 12 minutes into a 3-hour race. He's still yet to get the throttle. He's shifting gears.
He's got steering input.
Yeah, you can see he's got the wheel is registering. He did say he had brake input as well. He's got throttle. There we go. We did have throttle. He's got throttle. Yep, there we go. He is going again. So Ridwan has found the go pedal, and he is rolling yet again. That is absolutely burnt time, and we were supposed to have a safety car in this race, which obviously we unfortunately were not able to. But that would have been a cause for a safety car, I would think, in that situation. Just a car sitting on track, nowhere to go. But he's rolling again now, so hopefully he can get into a bit of a rhythm. But that is extremely frustrating for him. Not good at all.
Yeah, I'm just getting word as well from Mr. Riley Nicholson. There was some dramas at the start, and they weren't able to put their setup in, so they're running this track with no setup.
Oh no, I think they're
Just
currently in the
default,
lane.
Which is going to be quite difficult, but hopefully they can regather and get some laps in. You know, anything can happen.
That's right, fingers crossed. There's a long way to go, and I will say, they're in the Aston Martin. It's a fairly decent car on a stock setup, and Riley Nicholson and Andrew Griffin, they're both very capable drivers, so I have no doubt that with 2 hours and 46 minutes to go, we've barely scratched the surface of this race. There's going to be some more upsets and chance for these guys to come back later on in this race. This is a nice battle pack forming at the moment between these four cars. So this is Brad Mooney in third. You got Sale Levick in fourth, Les Sandwith in fifth, and then I believe that's Tyler Lanzell, who's a lap down just behind them, trying to unlap himself, which he is within his rights to do as long as he's faster than these guys ahead. So as long as he can keep this pace up, he's within his rights to overtake them. and try and unlap himself. So this is going to be interesting now to watch how this unfolds. We're going to jump, find Tyler if the camera wants to find him. There we go. There he is. Oh, Sale Levick has gone off, which hands another position to Les Sandwich. So that battle that was heating up between Levick and Moni, he's gone quite wide, or Moni, I should say. And he's going very defensive, is Moni, into turn 1. He's going to block the inside line from LJ, who looks to the outside, tries to get the nice run off of turn 1. Tyler Lanzell fancies himself a nice little invitation to this battle pack as well to unlap himself. These guys very quick. How does the straight line speed of the Ferrari fare? He's covering, Monty is covering the inside line as Sandwich looks to the outside as they come to Griffin's Bend. Not a place you can make a move. There's a little bit of contact between these guys. Oh, there's massive contact between the two cars. I think there was a little bit of contact into the braking zone. I'm yet to figure out where LJ is. He's still there, facing the wrong way as it stands. We'll get a different camera angle of that. And got the hazards on. He's rolling again now. That'll be super frustrating for him. He was running quite well up until that point, and it's all happening. The battle packs are providing some spicy racing. I can see those tickets flying in from these guys in this racing. But yeah, it looked like a little bit of a touch-up into the braking zone on the entry to the corner, and that just resulted in Monty getting a little bit loose in the mid-corner, which LJ then tried to, looks like he tried to redress, roll the throttle a little bit to not gain too much of an advantage there, but then there was more contact between them, and yeah, it's bit LJ there, unfortunately, who now finds himself still in 5th place, but now a fair way off those guys ahead. So how much damage is on that number 15 Ferrari? We do not know, but he's got Grant Scarp and JD not too far behind him.
Yeah, the old number 15 of Ferrari of LJ Sandwich, it is looking very second-hand at the moment.
Yes, very.
I'm very upset that I have missed all that action because I was looking at the replay trying to see how Mr. Levick went off the track.
It always happens at the right time, doesn't it? Oh, he's lost it again. And he's running wide. He got loose on the exit there at the corner. He lets these guys go through. I think maybe he's trying to read the chat. He's going to come into the lane. Yes, he is. He's going to dive into the lane and potentially maybe hand over to his co-driver.
The big winner out of all this is Tyler. He stayed out of it. He got past both of them. He's got clear air now just to run his laps and get ahead.
Yeah, he's done well to avoid that incident. We can see Levick and Moni going side by side into the same place. So these guys didn't go too well last lap, and now they're keen to try it again. And this time Moni comes out on top. He has won out that one, and Levick is going to have to settle in behind. But we need to follow these guys, I think, because this is where all the action is at the moment. Greeny there. They're going tit for tat at the moment. They've got the gloves out, and they're not afraid, even though it's early on in this race, it's early doors, they're not afraid to have a go.
Oh, definitely. And just by judging the back of Moni's car, they might be carrying a little bit of damage, a little bit of rear diffuser damage, so that will restrict him coming down the hill a bit and also along the straight.
Yeah, and we know that Mustang is a bullet in a straight line at the best of times, so this is really going to play into the hands of Levick here, who's looking for that podium place. These guys have had, both Rogers and Levick, they've had a bit of an up and down mini-series campaign, not the results they would probably want. Levick had a bit of a stronger run at Watkins Glen, but found himself with a 10-second time penalty for overtaking off the track at the exit of turn 1. So that sort of dropped. I don't think he lost a place from that, but it did sting for him in terms of results. But brilliant racing from these guys so far. Doesn't quite close up, so he's dropped off a little bit here. We'll have to see how strong his run is, because this is where he got a good run, obviously, last time to set himself up coming into McPhillamy Park. No, it's not McPhillamy. What's turn 2 at this place called? What do they call turn 2? I believe it is Griffin's. I believe you might be right. Griffin's Bend. No. Yes. I don't know.
You should know this. You were up there for the Bathurst one.
Oh, mate, that wasn't where I was. I was up under the tree. I had a great spot under the tree. And that's where all these guys have been putting in the wall in practice. But he's not as close this time. He does have a little look, but he's nowhere near as close at this time. Good day, Max. Max is in the chat, tuning in. He's put in what's that? Oh, two shocked. Looks like two shocked blue things that look very surprised. So there's a lot of action unfolding here, Max. So strap in. There's the wonderful Gridline Ibn Hamza rolling down in 8th place at the moment. Tyler Lanzell looking to make up some time. And yeah, unfortunately, Max Nicholson, they had a few unfortunate incidences early on. And it meant that, yeah, they're down the order now. But they're trying to get themselves back in the rhythm. There's a long way to go. Scott Smith, that gap to Nick Carter has stayed about the same, about 2.7 seconds.
And Mr. Seawiff has gone deep at the chase and he's off in the grass. Luckily, he rejoined safely into some clear air.
Let's see if we can find him. He's in the wars a bit today, Mr. Seawiff. He's just been into the lane for the first of his pit stops. Thought he might hand over to Matt Zanetti, but it is a bit early on in the race to do that. So.
Yes. Hopefully the Ferrari's good on fuel, so hopefully he can go very, very long into a stint here and be able to hand the keys over to Zanetti and see how they go.
Fingers crossed. I'm just trying to get a view here on Levick because he's closed back up to Moni again. I never know how to say his name, but I'll figure it out eventually.
Well, I think being from New Zealand, it's Motney.
Motney?
Could be Motney. I'm not too sure. We'll have to clarify that.
We should have clarified that prior to the race, but here we are. We're just going to wing it. That's what we do. That's what we're good at. And you see Tyler Lanzell starting to pull away, making use of that clean air in front of him. You can see Rowie Nicholson not too far behind these guys as well. He's also a lap down, and I believe chasing Tyler Lanzell. So those guys are actually still technically fighting for position. Levick has a look to the outside. Moni covers the inside, sits in the middle of the track to cover the line and holds on to that position for now. But these guys, they've been attached to the hip. I don't think this battle pack's going anywhere anytime soon. Hopefully it doesn't end in disaster like we have seen a few of them so far already today. We're only 20 minutes into this race. We're in for an extremely long day.
Yeah, I'm just watching now, looking at the mini-map, but you think they'll be spread out quite a lot more, but they're still sort of bunched up around the Sector 2 section. Just as we see Route 1 come down into the chase at the moment on my screen. Just going through the pack a bit, just having a look and seeing where everyone is. Riley is lapping. That's a very good lap. He's lapping in the 204s, 205s in that Aston Martin on a default setup. That's really, really good.
Yeah, he had, when I was talking about this earlier today, when we did our 90-minute race here a couple months ago, he had some spectacular pace in that Mustang. He drove a brilliant race to come home third. There was guys in the wars everywhere throughout that race, and he just kept his nose clean and drove absolutely brilliantly and brought that home. So he does know how to drive fast around here, and he knows how to drive fast over an extended period of time. So I would not be surprised. I'm not surprised that they've put him in. So Griffin started in that car. I'm not surprised they've put Riley in, given Drew a little bit of time just to reset. Just pause and have a break for a bit. Put Riley in. He knows he's quick. He's got a bit of pace, and they've got minimum driving times they have to complete. But he can drive for an hour and 45 minutes at the most. So he can make use of some of that time now. And I think a lot of these guys will try and get through most of their driving time. They've got to do at least an hour and 15. So I think most of these guys will try and get through majority of that time now and then hand over to their co-drivers and sort of split it up. We might see a few people try and, do 45 here, 45 there and share it around that way and try and go an hour and a half each. But it'll be interesting to see the various driver strategies that people use in terms of how long they drive for throughout this race.
Yeah, because there's a lot of combination of drivers. You've got some drivers that are just really consistent. They'll just sit at the one lap time the whole time. And you've got some other drivers that can come out and put absolute heaters down, but they might just be a little bit inconsistent, a bit really on that edge. So there's some good combos along this field, and really looking forward to see where everyone ends up at the end of this race, because it can be anyone's race still, considering we're half an hour in and we've seen all these incidents just to shake things up. You know, so much can still happen.
Yeah, there's still a lot that's left to unfold. I can see on my mini map the 7-1 or the 711 of Nick Carter is closing up to Les Sandwich in the 15. So he may go a lap down soon-ish to the leaders. But this is actually Riley Nicholson. He's closing up to the back of these guys at the moment. These guys are battling and a little bit slow, and he's taking advantage of that at the moment. We can see Levick has a little bit of a look coming into the chase. He's not quite close enough, but he's right there now, which means that this is the time for him to try and make a move. If he wants to make this stick, he's got to do it soon. Moni's going to cover the insides, and not quite close enough that time. Here we go. Smashing Apex is going to shed a bit of light. He said Ridwan had his pedals disconnect, hence the crash and an awkward moment on Mountain Straight.
Oh no.
So, poor Ridwan. If it's not a disconnect, something else is disconnecting. Very frustrating for those guys. They had a great qualifying position. A great start. There's still a long way to go in this race, so he's running in clean
Levick
out.
going to have a look to the inside here? No, Levick to the outside.
Well,
Moni defends.
Moni does quite a good job of just setting the car up in the middle of the track just to make it that little bit awkward for Levick to either have to commit really far down the inside or to look to the outside. So he's doing a great job. Brilliant defensive driving here from Moni. You can tell that he's done this one or two times before, and this means that Nicholson, who's got a lot of pace, is now closing up to the back of these guys, which he will want to try and get past them because he's running some fairly consistent laps. He won't want to spend too much time behind these guys who are battling, but it means that he now has to interject himself into the battle pack.
Yeah, Nicholson, I just think he needs to play it a bit safe here, because these boys, they're going hard and they're battling for position, but that Ford Mustang along the straights is going to be difficult to pass. So he just needs to play it safe, let him battle, and hopefully he can, hopefully they battle too hard and they make a mistake and he can get past. But right now, I think he's sitting in a pretty comfortable position. He just needs to keep composed, knock his laps off, and I think he'll get past shortly. Yeah,
I think these guys will sort of continue to battle and play into Nicholson's favour. He's going to have a look to the inside, but that was very late. He would have had to be very deep under brakes. He wouldn't have got that pulled up if he went for that move, and that means that Nicholson now is going to have a look because he's got a horrible exit as Levick and has opened himself up to Nicholson, who's just behind, but he won't be able to make that move stick. We're checking with Ridwan now. This is Moni, and then we've got Tyler Lanzell down in 9th at the moment. Mate, Apex says, Josh in the com box, how good?
Yeah, having a crack at my first commentary. It's quite daunting.
You're doing a great job, mate. You're doing brilliantly. I just want to note, I'm just looking at Nicholson here. So his best lap time is a 2:04 flat. His last lap time was a 2:06.5. So he is losing a fair bit of time to these guys behind.
Yeah.
To answer your question, Drew, 253 currently is Levick is behind the wheel. That's shared between himself and Aiden Rogers. So they're currently running in 4th place, looking to try and make a move up into the podium. But this man, your guy, Riley Nicholson, is looking to try and get past because he's being held up by these guys.
Yeah, I'm just going through the pack a little bit, and I just want to give a little shout out to Scary and JD. They've been going back and forth this whole time. I've seen JD in 5th and Scary in 5th, and then back and forth, and they're doing really well. They're hitting their marks. They're running in their 206s, and they're running consistent. You know, keeping out of all the scraps, all the mistakes, and just hitting their marks.
I was just say that. You've given him the commentator's curse. Sky's in the wall. Sky's in the wall, Skyline. You've given him the commentator's curse. You've said too much. You went on for too long, mate. It's welcome.
What have I done?
welcome to commentary. This happens all the time, and that is so disappointing for Scurry. He was running so well, and it just looks like he carried a little bit too much speed. And as someone who's driven extensive amounts of time, extensive laps in the Mustang around this circuit, if you get the braking zone even slightly wrong and the line slightly wrong, it'll grab the left front, and it will you're gone. You're a passenger at that point. Yeah, Jimmy D's just run wide at the exit of the chase. So you've put the curse on both of them, and he's going to continue to run Scurry, so he must have damage that must have damage he can live with. That was a fairly heavy contact with the wall down the bottom in turn 13.
Yeah, especially if it's to do with stint times as well. If he just goes that little bit extra further to put a little bit more time into the stint, it keeps his strategies open for the rest of the race. I'm just on board with JD at the moment, and that is some Porsche ASMR. That flat 6 sounds amazing.
It does. It's a very lovely sounding car. Has to be one of my favourite car sounds in the game.
Oh, definitely, especially when you go on board. It just sounds beautiful.
Well,
flat 6, naturally aspirated German goodness.
We'll have a look on board shortly, but we're just checking in with our race leader, Nick Carter. So he's pulled a bit of a gap now back to the 862, and I believe their team name is Renee Gracie Racing, which is an interesting name choice.
Sensational.
Absolutely
shout out
spectacular.
to Renee. Shout out to Renee.
Mate, pro GT3 driver, Renee Gracie. Was here not that long ago herself, cutting laps in real life.
Yeah.
And in I believe it's in the Audi is what they race. But
yep, the
those
Audi
guys,
R8, yep.
They're running in second at the moment. Both, so it's Scott Smith 2 or Scott Smith 1, and then we have another Scott Smith driving with Brad Money, and he's Scott Smith 2. So we two different people, but both named Scott Smith, which I thought was quite a coincidence that we ended up with two of the same name in the server for the race today. But Nick Carter's found his way past Les Sandwith, who now goes a lap down and just continues to extend that lead out the front. He's looking quite comfortable, but I would think Greenie, because Carter's doing this by himself, obviously wasn't our first preference. We did try and set him up with a couple of co-drivers, but for one reason or another they weren't able to race today, which meant he was sort of left with two options of either not racing or racing on his own. So we sort of as an admin had a discussion, and we agreed to let him race on his own, but it means that I reckon by the end of this, these other guys are going to have, they're going to have time to swap drivers, get out of the car, have a little bit of a break, go for a walk, climb out of the sim rig for a little bit. He has to sit in here for 3 hours, and he's a quick bloke. He's got a lot of talent, and he's probably done things like this before, but you'd have to think after a while a bit of driver fatigue is going to play a role in this, and the guys that have been able to have breaks and be a little bit fresher towards the back end of this race are going to be hunting him down.
Oh, 100%, especially when you're in the rig for the whole time. You got to have your food next to you. You can't have a bathroom break or anything. So sometimes you have to mildly dehydrate yourself to be able to go to the end without having a bathroom break. Now, when you are mildly dehydrated, it sometimes will affect your focus. Well, sometimes it will affect your focus. So we could possibly even see a bit of fatigue set in the second half of this race for Carter, and especially for the teammate of Scott Smith, which I think is it Craig Suto?
It sure is.
Craig Suto, we know he can throw in some good laps. He's a very rapid driver, so 6.3 seconds a jar at the moment, but expect the race to heat up.
Yeah, and it's
not over yet.
It certainly is not, and he is a man that is Craig Suter, who is in the hunt. Oh, it's Levick, sorry! Just Levick's gone into the wall. I just missed that. I looked away for 2 seconds to check the chat. I've done an LJ. I've looked away, and then car's gone in the wall. That was heavy contact for Levick. and you can see that's very heavy contact by the fact there's clear bonnet damage on that car. As I get the notification that my controller is starting to go flat. Absolutely perfect. I will put that on charge.
I'm just going to go back and have a look at the replay to see what Mr. Levick has done.
Absolutely massive. If you're on the stream, he was on screen at the time, so you would have seen it and what happened there. But yeah, that was absolutely
just
massive.
Pushing very hard, caught the strip, snap of oversteer and straight into the wall.
Yeah, and these Mustangs, they're loose units. These cars, they're very tail happy. As they are in real life, but yeah, you would think the GT3 car might be a little bit more planted, but even with traction control on these things are tail happy. But that means that Mr. Nicholson now only has to get past Brad Money to sort of release himself into clean air, and he's got a lot of pace at the moment. Money's doing 2:05.6 was his previous lap. His best lap is a 2:04.6. I'm going to try and get on board with Mr. Nicholson as he looks to the outside.
Mr. Money's indicating Mr. Nicholson to go past. What a gentleman.
Brilliant sportsmanship, and he's going to let him go. It's going to give him blue flags, but it's not going to matter that much. And Mr. Nicholson is now released. He's got 13 seconds up the road to the next car he's able to overtake in Tyler Lanzell. He's doing 2:04.9s at the moment, so he's lapping quite well at the moment, is Mr. Lanzell. So we'll have to see. Now that he's been released, what Riley is able to do behind the wheel of this Aston Martin, this number 7 Aston Martin. They've got a bit of time to make up for it, a bit of a mismatch start, as you mentioned earlier. If you've just tuned in, these guys did not click go in time, so had to start from the pit lane, and to rub salt into the wound, they had to start on a default setup, so they were not able to load the setup for this car prior to the race start. So yeah, it's shaping up to be a very interesting race between these guys.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a factor of what could have been for Mr. Nicholson and Griffin, which is such a shame because they're both very capable drivers and very quick in their own right. But, you know, to keep driving, keep pushing along on just a default setup, it goes to show that, you know, how skillful they are to be running consistent 204s on a setup that you're not comfortable with. You know, they're doing well, they're coming through, anything can happen, we can see that. So yeah, hopefully they're just gonna have to hope that Lady Luck's on their side with a few minutes ahead, but yeah, we'll see how we go.
Yes, well, I just saw he had a little bit of a moment there coming down Skyline. He was about 3/10. He gained about 3/10 across this lap on Tyler Lanzell in front, but he's lost another 5. He's back 5/10 now from where he was. So he had a little bit of a moment coming down the hill. He's done well to keep it out of the wall and save that, but he's just going to have to try and get into a rhythm now and just sort of settle down. He doesn't want to push too hard. There is a long way to go in this race, and he will have to hand the car back over to Griffin at some point to do another stint, so he doesn't want to leave him with too much of a wait time in the pit lane, too much damage. So he's doing 2:05.1 for Lanzell. We'll see what this looks like for Mr. Nicholson as he comes across the line. 2:05.0, so 1/10 quicker on that previous lap. And yeah, as you said, Max, he's rapid in this car, but that's what Max is saying in the chat. He's rapid, but I think Riley's just this car is used for the whole mini series. I think he's just very comfortable in this car.
Yeah, I think we were fans of the McLaren before, but he's definitely hit his stride in the Aston Martin. It's a very nice car to drive, very easy to drive, very consistent across all the tracks, and it has some straight line speed. That thing along the straight, it might not be as quick as a Mustang, but it's still very much quicker than most of the other cars. And it still handles like it would an MR car, so yeah, he's coming into his own in that car at the moment. I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Sandwith at the moment. He's lapping into 2:03s, and he's not letting Carter's still in his sights, even though he's a lap down. Carter's still, you know, he's only 4.2 seconds behind, and we've seen him get lapped probably close to 5 laps ago, so it's not too far off. He's made a little mistake this lap as he's a second down. But, you know, Sandwith, he's clawing back.
Yeah, he had a lot of pace in qualifying, and he had a lot of pace late in qualifying. I think he finally figured out how to get this car to hook up and run the way he wanted to. And yeah, he's doing brilliantly now. Bit of an unfortunate incident earlier with Moni for him to sort of end up facing the wrong way and had to turn the car around and get going again. But he's rolling now, and we've got 2 hours and 20 minutes remaining in this race. I'm just looking at the track map, and I think we talked about earlier how everyone was sort of really close together, and we're at the point now where everyone's started to sort of spread out, and we're getting gaps sort of establishing between cars now, which is yeah, we're getting to that point now where it's gonna be we're starting to settle into a rhythm. Everyone's finding their speed, and we're getting set. He's up 3/10 at the start of this lap, so he's got more pace in this car, which is absolutely ridiculous, especially in race stream. This guy is still finding ways to go quicker. 2.5 tenths now is what he's up by. He's lost a little bit of time across the top here as he's going about a 10th down. So that's probably tyre wear or potentially damage, which is hindering that slightly. He's quick down the hill. He's found about 1.5 tenths down the hill, has Les Sandwith, and then lost it all again coming out of the dipper. So maybe a little bit of a mistake there, but he found a lot of time coming. He was very quick down the hill. But yeah, he's on track to do a similar lap time again, so do another 2:03.8. If he can keep churning out these 2:03.8s, he's got 37 seconds to Grant Scar in 6th place, but with a fair way in this race to go, I would not rule out him getting close to him and JD in front.
Yeah, definitely. Some of these gaps, it's good to keep an eye on them now at the moment. Just because, it is 36 seconds, but, we know Scari's hit the wall. We know he has damage and he's going to have to get that fixed. So how much damage he has, we don't know. But Sandwich's car is clean. He's fixed his damage. He's punching out 2:03s. So they could come out at the same time once we go through this next pit stop phase.
Yeah, they very well could. We know LJ probably, as you said, has a little bit of damage as well. I'm just looking who has done the first of their mandatory stops as well, so probably won't play that much of a factor, but it is nice just to know. So Ridwan Hamza has taken his first mandatory stop, so has Les Samwith, and I believe that might be it. I believe that's the only cars that have sort of done their mandatory stops so far, and only have a 1 next to their name instead of the 2. And he's got Scott Smith closing right up on him now. So we did advise in the driver's briefing that not to let faster cars go across the top of the mountain, because it does just create issues when you're trying to get out of the way across here. It's so narrow across the top, and it's so fast that it's really hard just to find a safe spot to let drivers go. So you're better off waiting until you get onto the Conrod straight and just then pulling over to the left and letting them go. So I think we may see, if Scott Smith gets close enough, we may see LJ do something of that effect once we get onto Conroy Straight, just to let Smith go. But you can see that blue flag has sort of disappeared now, and he's pulled out a bit of a gate. He found 4 tenths over Smith behind him in that down the hill alone. But that blue flag, it appears whenever it's within a second. He pulls over to the left-hand side. I think he's just trying to go quick. I don't think he was actually pulling over to let him out. He's still full on the throttle. Blue flag still showing, but I don't think Scott Smith's close enough for any sort of move out of the way to be justified at this point. You'll have to be a little bit closer for that to sort of take effect.
Yeah, we might see the switch come on Mountain Straight, I think.
And we'll see what sort of run Scott Smith can get through. He's still saying it about a second away from him, so holding his own at the moment is Les Sandwith with these front guys, which just shows that really he's got the pace to be at the front here, and it's disappointing that he's down the order as a result of that earlier incident. But it's great to see that he has the pace and that he's up here. He did what did he do in the previous lap? 2:05.1, so a bit of a slower lap for him on the last lap, maybe a bit of a mistake somewhere in there. Blue flag showing again for Les Sandwith on Scott Smith, who has done the fastest lap of the race. So he's currently the fastest car on track with a 2:02.9. And the best lap for Nick Carter, if I can find him, is a 2:03.1.
Yeah, 2:03.1.
So it's interesting to see that maybe Carter not pushing as much as he needs to early on in this phase of the race. Levick is running 4th at the moment still. He's got 10 seconds to Moni up the road and 14 seconds back to JD, who's currently in 5th. We've got Ridwan down in 8th at the moment, still sort of running. He's got 6 seconds to Scari in front, who is a lap ahead of him. 7th place is LJ, who is 19 seconds behind him. So there's almost an entire lap between Ridwan and the next place ahead of him at the moment. But there's, again, still a long way to go in this race. He's doing 2:03.7s at the moment. So he's lapping faster than LJ is at the moment.
That's right, and we're seeing the first of our pit stop strategies come into play with JD in the pits now.
Oh,
so he's done his 45-minute stint.
Yep,
and
so
he
that's
was lapping quite well. He was slowly closing to Levick towards the end there. I think he come into the pits about 13 seconds behind Mr. Levick. So once again, we know Levick may have some damage. He may have hit the wall. So we could even see JD and who is his driver pairing?
This is Luke Muscat is the other driver in this car.
Yeah, Mr. Muscat, awesome. So Muscat will come out. I think after this pit stop phase, I think Muscat may be ahead, and these guys will be provisional P4.
And there you go. Well, and I can see, if I can get it actually to come up, it's very annoying trying to scroll through the drivers on this screen, but I can see Scott Smith in the 862 is into the lane. So they are making their first stop as well. So we're starting to see the first of our leaders blink for their first stop of this race. So my question now becomes, do they change drivers? Do they do a driver change here, or do they leave Smith in the car for a double stint? Same with JD here. Do they change drivers, or do they leave him in the car for a double stint? That is Muscat into the car, and he is away. So they have done a driver change there, answering my question for me. They're going to come out in, at the moment, 7th place, but they will gain places once the stop. And that's Rowan Nicholson into the lane as well. So he's come in for his first mandatory stop. Craig Suter is into the car now for, if I can find him, where is he? I've lost him.
There he is, he's coming out now.
Coming out, there he is. So Suter into the car. So they have done a driver change as well. So 45-minute stints are happening at the moment for these, for both the 23 car and the 862 car. So Suter in behind the wheel now. He is absolutely rapid, this guy. I know Scott Smith, he's very quick. He has the fastest lap of the race. I think we will see Craig Suter go even faster in this car, because this guy, throughout the entire mini-series, he sort of came in and I believe he missed the first round of the mini-series and then came in at Imola and absolutely dominated. And yeah, was just incredibly quick from the word go. Won the race at... Did he win the race at Kyalami as well? The 1 hour race at Kyalami. Oh no!
As you said that, he's gone off.
Hyped him up. I've given him the commentator's curse. He's gone headfirst, and we can see the bonnet damage there. And there looks maybe to be a fair bit of damage to that car. He's letting Levick go. We'll have to see what sort of damage there is to that car. Cold tyres, and just the rear has stepped out. It's
Mountain has claimed another victim.
Another victim. The commentator's curse has struck again. It's all happening here, and this is brilliant news for Nick Carter, who would have been probably very worried about this guy getting behind the wheel. And Max says, enough with the curses, fellas.
I know, we're bad jujus.
We're bad juju. Keith, or K-Dot, says, never watch me race. I know what I'm doing on Tuesday. Yes, this is...
You say Scari in the pits also.
We do. Scari is into the lane, so Suter's going to come back into the lane to get that damage repaired, and that is very frustrating for them. Muscat running well at the moment, up into 6th place. He's obviously jumped ahead of Scari, who's now Wayne Gardner's now into that car. Trying to look at who else. Wayne Gardner into that car, not to be confused with the motorcycle rider Wayne Gardner. Again, another person with the same name but different person. So, just trying to look what the current state of play is. So Levick's up into third, but that's because Suter had stopped and now is back in the lane again to repair the damage that he had on the car. So I would assume I'm predicting that Suter will stay in the car. They're still only fourth at the moment as well, so not terrible. Obviously not ideal because they're now fair way down on Mr. Nick Carter. But LJ's just crossed the line. Suter has stalled the car on exit. Will get rolling again. Will lose fourth place, I should say, to LJ, who is yet to stop for his second stop. He's done one stop technically, but I'd say I would class him, I don't know about you Greenie, but I would class LJ as out of sequence with Suter as well. So
Yes.
so 23 laps down, and Nick Carter leads the way. We've seen the first of our cars come into the lane for their stop. Maybe if we're going to commentate his curse, we need to start talking up Nick Carter. But we did that earlier, and this guy he didn't even blink. He's yeah, I don't know what we can say about this guy. I'm too scared to say anything really, but he is just absolutely brilliant and has a lot of talent. He's quick. We talked about this earlier in qualifying. He has been up there all weekend. Really looking really good for the whole mini series really, but he's just had some unfortunate incidents. He was leading the championship coming into Kyle Army, and then I believe he led it coming out. I believe he wasn't too far off it coming out of Kyle Army, but an unfortunate incident meant that his race was over almost before it even started. And then you and him had a nice little friendly handshake up at turn 4 at Watkins Glen, didn't you, Greenie?
Yeah, that was quite a racing incident. That was. It was just the holes in the cheese lining up. I put a little bit too much downforce onto my car, which made it a bit straggy across the straights, and the power of the Mustang just crept up on me a bit too quickly, and just a little coming together. And I think there was a little bit of a net code involved, which made it a bit more of an emphasis on the incident, but all good. We spoke through it. We're mates. We know how we race, so massive amounts of respect for Carter. And I've just got word as well that we have lost car number 7 of Riley and Drew. So hopefully they can jump back in and do some more laps. So I think it was a technical issue on Mr. Griffin's end.
Riley Nicholson is saying car 7 is retired due to technical issue, unable to make a drive change apparently. So hopefully, I'm fingers crossed that is not an issue that will befall anybody else, because that would be a real shame if I wouldn't see any reason why it would limit them to one driver change.
But there is a little issue that if a co-driver is kind of going through different drivers during the race, they need to kind of go into replay and do like a quick setup to get them to sit back in their car. So maybe that could have been an issue too, because I know that has been an issue prior before. Just looking at the times at the moment, so we're looking, the next sort of battle that I will, for position that I see happening is Ridwan. We've got Ridwan coming onto Wayne Gardner. He's 10 seconds behind, but we know Ridwan's quick. So I expect a kind of bit of a battle in about maybe 5 to 6 laps time.
Yeah, I think.
Ridwan's in the 203s at the moment, and we're seeing Wade's last lap was a 212, so Wayne had a bit of a mistake. So yeah, I think that's the next battle for position that'll be coming up shortly.
Yes, I was just trying to try and make sure that we weren't going to have a similar issue that car 7 has had with the other cars on track, but fingers crossed that's not the case. But no, I think we will probably see quite soon as you said, a battle between these guys. It's closing down fairly quickly, is that gap between Ridwan and Gardner. Just give me 2 seconds while I try. I'm going to hand over to you for a minute, Greenie, while I try and figure out to make sure we're not going to have the same issue again.
Yeah, too easy. So Nick Carter out in front still. You can see him with still holding in with a good times. He's 7 seconds adrift, but you know that's the leader of the race. As he sits in third. To go through to Beamoni. Sitting comfortably in second in his own little world at the moment. Yeah, we're seeing Mr. Suter. He's warmed his car up now. No damage, no mistakes. We should see that car come alive shortly. It's usually around 3 laps before these cars come alive once everything heats up.
Fingers crossed. I'm hoping that we are good now to go, and that we shouldn't have any more issues, hopefully. But
Yep,
I don't want to jinx
battle
it.
prediction that I had has come on a lot quicker than I thought. So Ridwan is on the back of Gardner after 1 lap. So Gardner's must have made another mistake. As we see, Ridwan shows the nose.
Yes, and I think...
And Ridwan really needs to make a move here before the top of the mountain, otherwise it's going to be very difficult to make a pass.
Yeah, it is very difficult to make a pass across the top here. It's very narrow, and it's very easy to go wide and get in the marbles and put it in the wall. And he's not close enough to make the pass as we come through turn 2. So I think it's gonna have to. He's gonna have to wait. He's either gonna have to try and make some magic happen across the top here, which will be great entertainment for us, or he's gonna have to wait until they get down the bottom of the mountain again, which is going to absolutely kill his momentum that he's got going on at the moment. There's still 42 seconds to the next car up the road, which is Luke Muscat. So, have to see what happens. He's looking to the outside here, looking very aggressive. He's Ridwan. He's got to have a bit of patience, I think, to try and make this stick. He's well within his rights, Gardner, to race for this position. There's no getting out of the way here. This is a race for position, so there's going to be, I would think, minimal courtesy shown to just let him go. They're going to go side by side through here. This is such an awkward position of the track to go, and Gardner's rolled right out of it. Ridwan's pretty much forced him into rolling out of that move there, just to sort of stop himself from getting damage on the Mustang. But that's very aggressive from Ridwan. You can tell he's really desperate to make up for that pedal disconnect earlier.
Yeah, and he definitely did need to make that move done, because we know the Ford Mustang in a straight line is a bullet. As we can see here, like Gardner would have not the best exit, but still, they've ended up at the same time by the end of the straight.
Yeah, they are... I'm just trying to look if Ridwan... I'm just trying to see if I can work out how long until Ridwan looks to catch these guys in front. Oh, he's in the pits. He's in the lane. There we go.
He's in the pits now.
Alright, so he's in the lane. So this should be a handover to Christopher Lashbrook to jump in the car. I think. This is... Look here, Aidan Rogers in 5th. So this is that Sal Levitt car, the 253 car we saw earlier. Still ahead of the number 23. So running ahead for now. Whether that will continue, we'll have to find out. I don't know what sort of pace he's running at the moment. In the 23, I'm just trying to do 17 different rolls at once here. So, pardon my slight tuning
All the
out.
hats are on today.
All the hats are on today. And Hamza has stayed in the car. So Ridwan has stayed in the car. Hopefully my anxiety is telling me that that's because they can't change drivers, but I'm hoping that's not actually what's happening, and he's just decided to stay in the car for this stint here to do a double stint. We know Ridwan's a big fan of the double stint, so anyone that's tuned in to watch any of the Track Stars Enduro series will know that Ridwan loves to do a good double stint in the car. He likes to sit in there for a fair while, so he will continue to roll on. This is Moni, who's up into second now. Is yet to stop, I believe, but we should be getting to the point where he's going to be pretty close to stopping now. An interesting strategy indeed, Max. It sure is. Now, I have provided a good friend of ours with the ability to jump in the commentary box, and here he is on cue. Mr. Water Arrow, Riley Nicholson, your race didn't go exactly to plan for you today, but we have graciously accepted my invite to jump in the commentary box with us. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Isaac, thank you, Green, as well. Yeah, just unfortunate with the race overall, and just unfortunate with what happened at the start. And yeah, we were bouncing back really well after a few issues that we had, and then as we just about to do our pit stop with our mandatory pit stop done, and yeah, just couldn't able to do the drive swap, even though we did do the replay back out glitch, but yeah, it just didn't work out. So it is unfortunate, but yeah, Toolshed was really pacing well in the practice, so was really grateful that he was able to show up and have a good drive, but yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, it's super disappointing. I'm gutted for you. Max is in the chat. He's absolutely gutted for you as well. Good old Dusty, your good friend.
Yes, Max.
Is it, I just putting my admin hat on for a second here, was it wouldn't let you just select a different driver, or you selected the driver and then at the end of the pit stop it just wouldn't change?
Yeah, basically it just wouldn't change really. So once it got to Toolshed, it was basically showing a different car, and I told him to do the replay and that sort of stuff, and it still wasn't working. So yeah, we just couldn't do anything from that really.
Yeah, well, hopefully we have heard that's been a bit of an issue across just ACC driver swaps and Enduros like this in general. So hopefully that's not an issue for the entire grid. Otherwise, I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll have to do something. But I just really gutted for you guys that it happened for you, and you were fighting back really well, and you've got a lot of pace around here. You chased down Levick and Moni really early on there, and got yourself into clean air and get yourself in a good position to chase down Lanzell as well. So yeah, it was really frustrating. The frustrating for you guys at the start, having to start from the pit lane with I heard you were on a default setup, which you made look like the fastest setup in the world. Like, you were absolutely flying in that Aston Martin.
Yeah, so basically we was just, because I entered in first, and for some reason the game decided to put Toolshed as the first driver, even though I jumped in the lobby first, and then he jumped in after me. So, but yeah, and then once we got into the pits, Toolshed got into the pits, we were able to change the setup, and then we did the drive swaps, and we got to change the setup, and then have everything we wanted on there, and we were pacing really well. We were just trying to see what we can do from now on, and then seeing little bits and bobs during the race went on, and then yeah, just unfortunate, but that's racing sometimes. But yeah.
You showed some great pace in that car. I was watching those lap times in the 204s. You're doing the same lap times as the top three, and it was just I was absolutely devastated for you. But I was hoping that if that disconnect didn't happen, anything can happen in the race, like we've just seen. Ridwan, who's leading the championship at the moment, he's spun off and he's in 9th place at the moment, so anything can happen on the mountain.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it, because yeah, we thought we had the pace with the top drivers as well, because we probably would have been matched with maybe LJ, that's up there in that sort of category, but yeah, just we can't get on the stage, so yeah, that's disappointing, but that's life.
That's absolutely disappointing, mate. Well, I really do hope that you can probably even jump in for the last hour even, and just do another last hour stint by yourself. You'll be some laps down, but you'll still be able to race around and have a good time. It's completely up to you, but it's always good having you.
I've also,
Riley.
I've sent you the password for if you want to spectate the lobby and join us in doing some commentary. If you want to, if you'd rather do that. I know Greeny and I had this discussion earlier how we'd actually rather sit in the commentary box than drive the cars for this one.
Oh yeah, I'll do some comms with you guys, no problem.
It's a little bit of fun. They're all spread out. Everyone's a bit spread out at the moment, so having someone else to sort of chat to would not go amiss. I tried to convince Max to get in here, but I think he's content just sort of laying in bed and watching, and sort of just want to just say quickly that we're thinking of Max, and he's had a bit of a rough couple of weeks. I say a bit of a rough couple of weeks. It's been a really rough couple of weeks for Max, and he's one of our admins here at AGT for the Assetto Corsa side of things, and we're very grateful that we have him here, and he's a part of this community, and he does the things he does, and we just want to say that we're thinking of him, and I know he's watching. He's laying in bed and watching, and providing some great comments in the stream chat. So just want to wish him all the best while he's watching. I know he hates when people talk about him, but just want to wish him all the best.
Just seeing Miss Craig Suter coming up on Wayne Gardner at the moment. Going to put him a lap down, going on straight.
Yeah, and
just
this is
starting to see the cars sort of bunch up again around that sector, top of their sector 2.
Yeah, I'm noticing that as well. Oh, and Gardner's gone off. He's spun the car. Looks like he'll try and get it going.
Stop watching people.
You need to stop watching people. You really are.
Mr. Sandbib enter into the pits.
So LJ has come in for his, I believe that's technically his second stop, but it'll be his first stop. He will hand over the car to Matt Donetti, I would assume, at this point in time. Although, I would actually just keep going at this point. You're almost at your minimum driving time. So if I was LJ, I'd just do another stint and get the minimum driving time out of the way. Because there's only about 7 minutes left, and then you've met the minimum driving time. So,
I
did, go on.
Well, I did hear from the grapevine that they were apparently doing half-an-hour stints, apparently. So it could play into a factor where they're going to be doing 3 stints each, maybe. But basically it's just the way that they're doing it, obviously, in the Ferrari, and especially with Matt Donetti coming into the car as well, teaming with LJ. He did do the race in Watkins Glen 2 weeks ago, I believe, and he was showing good pace in the BMW M4. So I'd like to see what he does in the Ferrari, and hopefully get some good results and some decent pace for LJ.
Well, Donetti's just jumped in behind the wheel, so they're going to come out in 4th place, which is absolutely... I believe it's 4th. Maybe it's not 4th. Maybe it's 5th place. I'm just going to wait for the thing to update. But even then, before this first round of pit stops, they were 7th. And I believe if they're coming out now in what looks like to be 5th place, that is absolutely brilliant. We'll have to get confirmation. There you go, 5th place. So they're in 5th. So that is a brilliant stint from LJ after damage early on to get up and into 5th place. That is, they're only 11 seconds behind that of 4th place in Aiden Rogers. So they have done a brilliant job. Craig Suter's back up into 3rd. Moni is yet to stop, so he's still going. That Mercedes has done 30. Let me just confirm. I believe it's 32 laps. 32 laps on a tank of fuel.
Yes, and I've been watching that car, and I think I've figured out their strategy, and I won't say anything. Also, Nick Carter has come out of the pits also.
So Nick Carter has stopped.
He's completed his first pit stop.
Well, there you go. So, is that now? I believe potentially the only car yet to stop is Mr. Moni. I think I may have worked out what you think the strategy is there, Greeny. I think I'm on the same page as you.
Yeah. He is going. I can come up with a lot of things in my head right now, but I'll just say he's going long, baby. He's
Yeah,
going deep.
he's going deep into this race. I think one of your earlier predictions that I didn't think could be possibly done may actually be done, which would be absolutely impressive.
He still needs to. So it is fuel and tyres, isn't it? Or do they have to stop twice?
They have to stop twice, and they have to take fuel and tyres.
Yeah, so we might see a long stint going to
two short ones.
quick stints at the end.
Because it's not a fixed fuel time either, so you don't gain. It's basically, if you put a full tank of fuel in, you'll suffer the amount of time you have to sit and wait for a full tank of fuel, which is probably why we're seeing some alternate strategies happening here, and some people moving up places and people dropping down places, because people are going to be taking on different fuel loads for the strategies that they're adjusting to. So it'll all most likely even out towards the end of this race. But if they're going to run long and then potentially do 2 stops where they don't need as much fuel, that'll benefit them with the amount of stationary time or lack of thereof stationary time that they have to spend in the pit lane taking on less fuel.
Yeah, that's correct. And you love to see it. You love to see a lot of different strategy options, and I believe Bathurst does bring out that in these races due to the fact of damage and the way you can fuel save around this track. So still all to play for, still all up in the amps at the moment. We could see, a couple of upsets happen, but I feel like this race is definitely going to heat up towards the tail end, as we've got some fast drivers at the back coming through, and I feel like all the drains lead out to the ocean, and we could see everyone at the ocean at the same time.
We very well could, but there's still a lot of race play. We're still an hour and 48 minutes away from the end of this one. Just going to check that out.
Yeah, just watching old Hammond in the car, and he's got that BMW absolutely glued to the ground across Skyline. Yeah. I better jump off him just before I give him the curse.
Yeah,
going through the pack at the moment. There's a couple of cars with a little bit of damage. Musket has quite a bit of damage, it seems. And Monty's still carrying that damage from a little bit of a scuffle at the start of the race.
Yes, so he hasn't stopped since the start of the race, so he's still carrying that damage. Is there anything that stood out to you so far, Mr. Nicholson? Anything that you have noticed scrolling through and the spectators' role here?
Well, honestly, from what I've been looking at for the first couple of laps shown for Matt Donetti in the Ferrari, he's been placing really well. He's getting used to the car as well. Obviously, a different car that he was using in Walking Glen for the second last round of the mini-series. And yeah, he's going well at the moment. He did do a GT Champions race not long ago, so he is quite warmed up in sort of racing, but obviously this is a different racing game, different physics and all that, etc. So yeah, I'm pleased to see he's going really well, and also to see Ridwan trying to pick up the scraps here and trying to overtake Wayne Gardner going down into Murray's.
Well, that's again. So that is we saw Wayne Gardner lapped by Ridwan earlier on in this stint, and it looks like it's about to unfold again. So that will hopefully happen soon. Hopefully that doesn't take too long. We might be about to see a action replay if Ridwan can't get this move done up into Griffins. He's right behind, but that Mustang is so quick in a straight line that it's going to be hard for him to make it stick. There will be blue flags though this time. It is not for position, so Gardner is supposed to get out of the way, and he does. He moves, just sort of stays to the left.
Racing line.
To the left there.
Sort of the racing line there. Turn 2.
But as you were saying with Matt Donetti, I just want to circle back to that because...
Oh, Ridwan spinning at the cutting.
Oh, no, not again. Not again. For Ridwan Ibn Hamza, yellow flags are out. He's spun at the cutting. That's a bit further down than it was last time. Hopefully that's not a pedal box issue. So Nick Carter on his way through, not too far behind this man, Mr. Ibn Hamza. Was that all on his own?
That was all Ridwan there after he got the overtake done with Wade Gardner into turn 2. Just lost a little bit of control in the rear down in towards the cutting, so managed just to spin the wheels and just go sideways there.
And it just goes to show how hard he is pushing to try and make up time in this race. He is absolutely sending it. We're going to try again. Come back to Matt Donetti. This is take 2, or take 3, I should say. He's a second up on his best time at the moment. His last lap was a 2:06.4, and he's currently a second up on whatever his best time is. But I just, yeah. Oh, no, I've given him the curse as well. Oh, that is a massive accident. That car was on its side. That was on its side. That wall road on its side. I've done it again. Greeny's not even talking. Hasn't even opened his mouth. And it's just, oh, that is so disappointing. I was just about to talk up his stocks. A man that was absolutely rapid in the Trackstars Gran Turismo Enduro Series and in TS2. He's got a great racing pedigree behind him for Trackstars. He's a member of the CP Motorsports community, and he's making his foray into Assetto Corsa. As you said, he had an appearance at Watkins Glen for that second race. Did a very, very good job for his first race on Assetto Corsa, and that was a massive incident. I don't know if you caught that, Josh. I know you've just come back. Wasn't even in the commentary box, and we've just given Matt Donetti the biggest commentator's curse that you could have given him. His wall road on his side down through Skyline, and yeah, absolutely devastating.
You absolutely wouldn't read about it. I just jumped up just to get some pain medication, and guess who I left my replay on, my spectator mode on as I left.
Well, I think that's enough. That's enough for me to say that's your fault, Greeny. You've put the curse on him there.
Just an absolute kicker to do it. I just tuned in to Mr. LJ's stream just to see how they were getting on and seen it firsthand as well.
Oh no! How did LJ take it?
I've had all of the juju's out today.
How
I've
did
got my crystals? I've just charged them up and just let them rip.
How did LJ take that one? Was he?
They're having a good time in that chat over there, and that's what we want to see. You know, things happen. We can't be frustrated. At the end of the day, it's just a game. Yes, we can be passionate about it, but it's just all fun. It's all fun, and to get a car nearly on its roof in ACC is an absolutely astonishing feat.
Oh yeah,
so
the amount of speed he carried.
Oh, absolutely, and I'd rather. It's harder to get your car on a roof at Bathurst than it is to get a 201.
Oh, absolutely. That is hands down 100% fact. Max has said that
Mr.
everyone.
Donetti, take a bow.
Max has said everyone needs to get out of the commentary box, so I think Max is up for a bit of commentary now. I think if we all have to get out, then Max has got to get in here and do this, because obviously he thinks he can do a better job than we can. So I think it's his turn. But yeah, this is wow. There's no words.
Yeah,
this
is definitely a race of resilience. I think everyone has had their issues. I think the only person that really hasn't had any massive issues has been Nick Carter, and he has the gap to show it. Like, he's so far ahead at the moment.
100%, and he's doing a great job at the moment out on his own, and I think the fatigue will start to set in as we get further into this race. But for now, he's about 16 seconds off the back of lapping third place here, which is nuts. This guy is just out there running on his own, doing a stellar job as well to go with it. Aiden Rogers, I just want to give a shout out to as well, in fourth place.
Yeah, I just need to have a look at a quick replay for a second here.
I'll let you do that.
Like to take over the commentary.
Oh, yeah, what were you going to say, Mr. Nicholson? You had
I was going to say, as we were just talking about, Mr. Donetti's horrible accident down in in the mountain. We did see Momi in the Mercedes just pit, and now it's Smith that will be taking the reins over in that Mercedes. So he's keeping well placed in third, and yeah, basically he's just holding off Rogers a bit here. He's down in Conrod at the moment, while Smith is just about heading into his 37th lap in that car in the race into the lead lap. So yeah, hopefully we can see some more overtaking stuff as we see Gardner and Danetti coming out right in front of Smithy in the pit exit. And of course, Matt Danetti and Gardner will show the blue flag treatment and let Smithy go.
And it looks like potentially the previous lap was the lap that that Smith and Moni stopped on. So that is Moni done. He does not have to go back in the car now. He has met his minimum driving time of an hour and 15 minutes. And it is all over to Scott Smith 2.0 now. Or Scott Smith number 2, as I should say, because we've got 2 of them. So
yeah,
I would think that this would be it for the 238 car in terms of who's behind the wheel. So that's quite interesting that they've gone for that strategy. They've gone, Moni's run long enough. He's done a brilliant first stint to run that long. They're now into 3rd place, and yeah, it looks like Smith will run to the end. Greenie, what have you found?
So there's just been a little bit of a bonk coming into the chase between yeah, a little bit of a bonk just under brakes. I believe the car let me go through. So the car number 77 and 14 have come together just at the chase there, and sadly car 77 has come off second best. Yeah, more to come on that one, I think, guys.
Yeah, sounds like it. There seems to be a bit of chatter happening around, yeah, so a couple incidents that are going on. Moni's just said an hour and 17-minute stint ain't bad, which is, yeah, it's a very good effort to sit in that car and do an hour and 17-minute run. Yeah, I'm going to hand over to you guys for a minute. I'm going to run to the loo and leave this in your capable hands. We've got, on my screen at the moment, we've got, who am I going to put on the screen? Let's see. Who looks like they're having a fun time on the track? Let's put Mr. Danetti on the screen, and I will hand over to you guys for a minute while I run to the bathroom. We'll be back.
Through Griffins at the moment. P8, we know he's had a bit of damage, nearly rolled it on the roof. But yeah, lapping quite well. He's new to the game, but he is no slouch. In GD7, he is very, very quick, and I believe once he gets to terms with the ACC physics, he will be a force to be reckoned with. What do you think, Riley?
Yeah, obviously, absolutely agree what you there, Greenie. He's definitely a massive, great driver. He definitely did show it, as Isaac was saying earlier, previously in the TS2 Track Stars Championship. Fortunately, couldn't get the chocolates after last week's roads, but yeah, he basically won them the team as well for CP Motorsports. So he has showed a lot of pace over the last couple of months in terms of his results and consistency as well. So yeah, he's been really, really, really good. And once he gets to know the ACC physics, as you said, Greenie, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, and he'll probably be up there in terms of with Nick Carter, and hopefully if he decides to go into the Oz and NZ Endurance Series, he might be up there in the top half of the pack there too.
Yeah, that'll be one to see, because I believe that the Oz NZ Endurance Series is going to have a lot of top drivers. Like, there was always such a deep field with that series, and I think now that a lot more guys are finding ACC, and especially with the new ACC Evo that'll be coming out, we could see a lot more blokes and girls coming onto ACC, and there could be a change in the guard soon. As we see Mr. Danetti come through for a 206.1, so he's slowly coming up to speed. And as also we see Mr. Hammond finally, after a lonely first half of the race in P9, the combo of Tyler Lenzel and James Hammond have now started to move up the order. They are in P7, so the old turbo diesel machine, they're coming through slowly after that incident at the start, and, you know, good on them. It just goes to show that if you can stay put and keep going, you can slowly move forward, and they'll be coming up to unlap themselves on Mr. Luke Muscat shortly, because they are gaining at quite a speed. 8 seconds adrift at the moment. Just as I go and have a look at the ASMR of that flat 6 Porsche. Geez, what an absolute beauty of a car.
Yeah, it's a really good car.
Few people have completed the pit stop time, but we know the minimum time that you have to drive is an hour and 15 minutes, so still quite a bit of a race to go here, and anything can happen. We've had a very spicy first half of the race, and you love to see it. Just hopefully at the end of this, with all the incidents, so we've had everyone can shake hands and we can keep moving forward, and yeah, keep the rivalries on track, keep respect high. But yeah, we're seeing a very different top 5 than we normally would. So we've got Aaron Rodgers in 4th at the moment, and they've just, you know, they've just stayed out a little. All the big ranks, kept it simple. Same as the Muscat, kept it simple, and they're sitting in the top 5 at the moment. So we'll go down and have a look at the order.
Sixth place he is still trying to go off the Muscat, but yeah, he's got Mr. Carter right here. We'd like to see what's going to happen here between them two, but obviously everyone will probably give way to Mr. Carter, even though Mr. Carter, he's not a solid track. Yeah, he is brave enough to do that. I wouldn't. So, he's really been knowing the physics of this game, back in his hand, and he just knows where he needs to go and where he can find pace as well. So, especially in that Ford Mustang as well, for me, it was just a happy from backmarkers, realistically.
Yeah, that's right. Like, the battle can still be a lap down, still be in a battle with these enduro races, so the positions are all to play for at the moment. And what could be affecting the drivers at the moment is we are at the midpoint of this race. So this is a 3-hour race, but it is set to simulate the time progression of a 12-hour race. So right now will be the hottest point of the day. So tyre pressures will be up. The cars will start to feel a bit skatey at the moment. So we might see a few more mistakes come up. We might not, as we're just seeing the lap times just drop off a little bit more. But we're also seeing Mr. Zanetti at the moment. He's throwing in some good laps. He started off with his 206s, and now he's down to low 205s. So it just goes to show he's just finding his line. As we see, the traction control is set at 7, so the car is sliding.
Yes, hello, I'm back. Have I missed anything?
And here's Isaac.
Have I missed anything?
No, it's just haven't missed anything. Cars are all settling into their race. We're just coming up to the midway point of the race.
Wonderful.
And the temperatures are high at the moment. Watch the cars dance around. The tyre pressures will be screaming.
I have noticed that Mr. Hamza has come into the lane at about an hour and a half to go, so I would think this is where they'll do their driver change, put Mr. Lashbrook in, and they'll run to the end. But I also did notice earlier you were discussing how sexy this Porsche sound. So I've just on the stream put us on board this Porsche just to give us a bit of an idea of just what it is that you love so much about this Porsche, as he actually is going to dive into the pit lane now, is Mr. Muscat.
I do love going into the pits. you want to hear that flat six absolutely scream. You don't want to hear it idle in pit lane. But if you have spare time, go on YouTube and type in the Porsche 911 doing a launch control. Holy bejesus, what a sound!
Well, we'll have to do that. I'll have to do that later when I'm not commentating, but I've just noticed Mr. Lashbrook is in the car now, so that number 14 car becomes at the behest of Mr. Chris Lashbrook in what I believe will be his final sim racing appearance for the foreseeable future, with his second child, him and his partner, second child on the way, so congratulations to them. But another person who's been an admin of this Discord and is stepping away for the birth of his second child. So there we go. We get the official radio call that we are halfway into this race, and these guys sit sixth. We're just going to have a quick look through the current order. So we've got Nick Carter leads the way from, if I can find second place, Craig Souter in second. And then we have, at the moment, Scott Smith, the second of the Scott Smiths, in the 238 Hooncorp entry in third. We then have Aiden Rogers in the 253 Mustang sitting in fourth. We have Jimmy D in fifth, but he's currently in the lane. They've just switched back from Luke Muscat. So Muscat's now out of the car. Jimmy D's back in the car and will run for his second stint now. So those guys are running in fifth. Great result for them so far, running really well. Sixth place belongs to that of Mr. Lashbrook, who's just come out of the lane. Seventh is James Hammond in the 98 entry of Race Asylum. They are running quite well there on a fight back from, or comeback from their earlier incident. We've got in 8th place Matt Donetti in the 15 Ferrari, and then in 9th place is Wayne Gardner, who's currently in the lane. So very interesting order so far. A little bit mixed up from what we saw it starting as, but big story of the day is that Nick Carter leading the way, and leading the way relatively comfortably at the moment, guys.
Yeah, most likely. Like I said, earlier, he is doing the race on a solo today, and give my flowers to him. Obviously, he knows how to drive well, especially in long duration races. So yeah, fair play to him. But what I wanted to mention as well, with Mr. Lashbrook as well, obviously newly crowned TS2 champion for Track Stars after
Indeed.
a close battle with Matt Donetti throughout the whole season. Well, the majority of the season came down to the last round of the last week, and obviously there were events there, but obviously Lashbrook was crowned the TS2 champion. But if we can have a look back now to Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers is pacing well in the Ford Mustang as well. Got a lot of clean air front and behind him as well. So he has got JD fairly gapped behind him as well from Rogers as well. So, but as one as well, Rogers has got another pit to do so as well. So alternatively, JD will be possibly getting up to Rogers, either passing him or just nearly going by him in the pits as well. So yeah, obviously we've got lots of people spread out as well. Basically the top 4 needs to pit as well, even though Mr. Carter will pit as well. Obviously he's in the solo, but you know, you got Souter, you got Smith, and then you got Rogers as well in the top 4 that all needs to pit as well. Most likely Hammond needs to pit as well. Most likely either be Lancel or Tyler that will be in the car as well. And then yeah, most likely it's just Matt Donetti, Scary, Lashbrook and JD are the ones that have done the compulsory stuff. So we'd like to see at the end of the race if it gets a bit tight here in terms of racing positions. But overall, like I said before, it's very even wide and, you know, very evenly gapped as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think even though we've seen JD and Lashbrook have done their compulsory pit stops, we will see them do a third stop. So they'll be on the 3-stop strategy. So they'll stop again. Same with Matt Donetti, because he's got to put Sandwich back in the car, LJ back in the car to go to the end. So we'll see those guys stop at least one more time, maybe two for Zanetti, depending on what's happening with that car. But you are right. There's a fair bit of strategy left to play out in this race. We've lost Mr. Green for a moment. He's gone to attend to the groceries, I believe. He's got to bring the shopping in. You know, dad's good old dad / husband things. He's off to do that. But so it's just the two of us for now. But I'm just looking up and down this grid just to see what sort of lap times people are doing. I'm very curious to see what lap times the Porsche of James Dalton is going to do, JD, because he was catching up to Rogers in that, or he was catching up to Levick, I should say, in that first stint that happened in this race towards the end, and then they sort of dropped off a little bit from the back of them. But I'm going to say that if he can find a bit of pace, he's just done a 2:07.5, so those tyres are still coming up to temperature at the moment. Just looking at what Rogers did on the previous lap, he did a 2:06.1, so about a second a lap quicker, but he's been out on the circuit for a fair chunk of time more. A little bit of tyre squeal through the cutting there, very narrow line through the cutting. There's a very interesting line through the cutting. Not sure if that's strategic or whether that was done on purpose, but he's, pushing very hard at the moment is Chris Lashbrook, who's done a 2:05.0 on the previous lap. He's got James Hammond not too far behind him. This is a battle for position. I've just realised this. This is a battle for position. So this is going to shape up to potentially be something exciting. A 2:05.6 plays a 2:04.8 for James Hammond on the previous lap. And I am rubbing my hands together at the thought of there being a battle between these two for 6th place on track within the next few laps. Craig Sousa also not far off the back of these guys. Max is saying Rogers still needs to stop again, but he could do a low fuel run to the end. He very well could do. I think, Max, you're sitting in chat doing some little strategies for us. I think Max should be our Mark Larkham. And we throw to him for, like, you know, sort of pit report / strategy / critical lap number. If Max, if you could work out the critical lap number where we can fill up and get home, that would be absolutely spectacular, because I'd be very curious to know what that actually might be. So this could be a three-way battle after Rogers pits. It very well could be. I would not be surprised to see this happen, because, yeah, you're right, Rogers does have to pit again. I think everyone's going to have to pit again. If you're getting home with an hour and 20 to go, you're doing a brilliant job, and the driving time that these guys have to meet means that they'll probably all have to stop again anyway. And I'm just looking, this gap between Lashbrook and Hammond has gone out a little bit on this lap, so I'm going to be curious to see what it looks like when they come across the line. He's a second down, and his best time at the moment is James Hammond. But keeping a close eye on this is something I'll be doing for the next sort of hour and 23 minutes, Riley, because this could shape up to be a nice little battle.
Yeah, it can, most likely, because, you know, you've got two incredible drivers that are in different cars with their own different strengths and their own different weaknesses, so it definitely can shape up to be a spicy battle between them two, as Hammond is pacing really well there in the BMW, as well as Lashbrook carrying a little bit of damage in there, looks like most likely in the rear of the McLaren there, but yeah, obviously Hammond and Lashbrook, obviously two great different drivers, and yeah, basically it's at the moment battle to watch at the moment, because it's obviously for position, because as we can see Suter going into the pits as well, claiming the pit board marker, so just taking it with him in the Aston Martin, which is delightful, but that's going to increase the gap for Nick Carter to strategize himself when to pit and where to pit and when he can pit, because obviously he is doing a solo while Suter is possibly doing another driver swap as well. So basically Carter has got all this time, all these gaps and margins everywhere to pretty much just say, all right, I can pit at this gap and then it will still be fine and I can go well again. So yeah, it's pretty much, again, we've just gone halfway in the race, anything to play for still, but at the same time, yeah, it's just really good.
Yeah, well, this is just looking at Grant Scarr. He's back in their Mustang, the 77 Mustang, and he's got a point to prove. They had a little bit of drama earlier on with the number 14 car from what I understand, and wasn't too impressed with some of the conduct of the driving. That'll be something we have to look at as stewards following this race, provided that they report the incident to the stewards. But he is absolutely flying at the moment. He is 7/10 up on his best lap time, which was a 2:06.1. And he is on a mission to try and make up some time. He's got a fair way to go before he catches up to Matt Donetti, who's actually probably not far. He's only about 19 seconds behind him, so not far off lapping him. But these guys, they want to try and set themselves up to be in a good position come the end of this race. And everyone has spread out a little bit, which, you know, we sort of hoped we could have avoided with things like a safety car, but we wouldn't have actually had too many safety cars. This would have been a lot of green flag running because we've had sort of not a lot going on. I think we would have had a safety car for Ridwan earlier on in this race when he was stalled on the mountain straight, and then, pardon me, potentially a safety car for Matt Donetti's incident, but that probably would have been the only two safety cars. Oh, and the safety car at the start of the race after the crash with Lashbrook, but that potentially could have been possibly the only two three safety cars we would have had in this race. We would have had at least the last sort of 50 minutes of fairly clean green flag running, so it would have played a little bit of a factor in this race, but it wouldn't have played a massive one as we see Nick Carter lap Matt Donetti again. So he's done a 2:04.2 on that previous lap, has Nick Carter, and he's just out cruising at the moment. He's gone for a Sunday drive. Josh Green is back from bringing in the groceries and has rejoined us in the commentary box.
The groceries are in. Yes, it's a very hot day out here in Western Sydney, so the groceries will not last long. So got to get them in quick, otherwise the wife will be angry at me.
Yeah, don't want that.
But they are in.
That's good. It just looks
on
like
board with Mr. James Hammond at the moment. P7, absolutely sensational clawback to get onto the same lap as some of these other drivers, and that's with Chris Lashbrook and also JD. Yeah, sensational comeback. They were more than a lap down at the start, and you know, that combination that could potentially even be in the running for driver of the day, which, you know, to come back and have the resilience. You know, you do your mistakes at the start, then you just clock your laps off, and you know, you reap the benefits at the end. But their race isn't over. We could even see them in the top 5. They're 40 seconds behind JD. Let's have a look at the lap times at the moment. So Hammond is running in the 2:05s. JD is running in. He's running in the 2:06s at the moment.
Yeah, and Lashbrook is running in the 2:04s, so he's put the hammer down a little bit. So he's trying to put the hammer down and sort of get away, because that gap for a little bit there was just under 3 seconds between Hammond and Lashbrook, but it seems that Lashbrook is trying to take advantage of these fresher tyres early on and put them to good use to create a bit of space to then try and close up to JD to open himself up for a P5 finish. We've still got an hour and 17 minutes to go. Hard to believe we're a fair way into this race now, with still, you know, such a long way to go, and these guys have sort of found their way back to each other to be within about 8 seconds at the moment.
Yeah, so we're coming up to that magic number, 1 hour and 15 to go. So this is where some drivers can pit and go to the end with their other drivers. I don't think we will see it, just by the strategies that have been happening at the moment with the damage that picked up. There would have been a lot of strategy going on the fly at the moment. I don't see any Ferrari strategy. It's a good thing. But we're running good. We're running good. Everyone's spread out. Everyone's having fun. As we see the 23 car go off track, I think. No, they're back on, so they're good.
Wonderful. Love to see it. Yeah, they're I'm just trying to look at where we might be at with, the current situation for fuel. It's sort of hard to tell on this game. You get a bit more information with people's fuel and stuff that, on like Gran Turismo, for example. They don't give you a lot on this, but I think as I was saying to earlier, we're going to see everyone make at least one more stop before the end of this race. The longest we've seen anyone run is an hour and 15 minutes, and that was the 238 car. So Max is saying, I would absolutely say everyone still needs to pit unless they have more than 140 litres in the car, and I don't think that's actually physically possible in this game. So everyone will have to stop again.
Yeah, most cars will most likely have 120 litre capacity as well, but you've got to take account into effect with the different cars as well. They do produce more fuel burn, and depending on which car you are, like obviously in the Aston, depending on how you drive, it takes 3.7 litres per lap, so it does give you a little bit of harsh fuel burn, but like I say, if we were still able to race, we would have done possibly the 3-stopper as well. So and just pretty much fueled it up to 120 litres, and then we go forward from there. But obviously, different cars, different fuel burns, and yeah, apparently the Mustang might be the maybe the best fuel saving car possibly, or is it maybe one of the McLaren possibly, or
the Mustang does quite well. Mustang does quite well on fuel in general, which is surprising considering it's a V8 and it's American. You would think it does anything but be good on fuel, but it is actually quite handy on fuel. What obviously is also handy on fuel is that Mercedes, the 238 car that Scott Smith is currently behind the wheel in, because what was it, an hour and 15 minutes, or hour and 17 minutes, sorry, that Brad Money did before he came into the lane to hand over the reins. So it's a fairly handy car on fuel. Probably a bit of fuel saving in there for those guys. I would say you'd sort of have to make it last that long. What's Max saying? 40 minutes remaining. The pit stops I expect to be happening. There's so many different strategies happening. It's a bit hard. You are right, Max. There is a lot of strategies going on at the moment, but I would suggest that with 40 minutes to go, Max reckons is sort of when you can sort of put fuel in and guarantee to sort of get home to the end of this one.
Yeah, it's a very exciting race at the moment. Even with the 9 entries, it's been spicy. I feel like any more entries, we wouldn't know where to look. There'd just be so much going on. So I think this is a great first go at it, first crack at it, I believe.
Yes, and I think ideally we'd like to get to the point where we can have, we've had for the average of the mini-series, we've had 20 plus cars on the grid, and I'd love to see that in an endurance stamp like fact as well, but that's something that we'll need to do a bit of testing with and a bit of seeing if we can trick the system to make it work. I know there's other leagues like AusNZ do massive grids for their endurance races, and to have something like that would be absolutely awesome to build into one of our series. We're getting ready with this race being the conclusion of our mini series. We're getting ready to launch all our information about season 1. So within the next couple of weeks, we'll have all the information go live in regards to teams, and we want to have a teams championship in this thing. So we're going to have expressions of interest for teams to be able to enter the series, and then there'll be a process of launching the calendar. We're going to try and line that up with our sister league, obviously Adrenaline GT, the Gran Turismo side of things. We want to line up to release all the calendars at the same time. So season 1 of Assetto Corsa, as well as season 4 of our Tuesday and Thursday races in Gran Turismo. So that'll all line up. So sort of release at the same time. We have the calendar ready to go for Assetto Corsa, and I believe you have seen it, Mr. Green. I don't know if you remember what was on it, but I believe you have seen it, and if you remember, I think it's quite a decent calendar.
From memory, it is decent. Do I remember? Not quite, but that is just the general case with me at the moment. But I am very excited for this. I hope we have the numbers get pumped up. I like what we do here. I like how we want to help everyone achieve. We want to make sure the guy in first place and the guy in last place get that time shrunk and get closer together throughout the season. We want to see everyone progress, and if I help someone out to go from, say, P20 to P15, that is a bigger win in my book than anything else. We just want everyone to be able to enjoy the game and have the best time, understand it, and I think that's what we can give to everyone that other leagues can't, is just the time and effort that we can put into people individually so they can get the most out of the game.
100%. And I'll give a little bit of a teaser. So I won't give everything that we've got on this calendar, but we've got 3 because we've got 8 events happening across starting in the middle of January and finishing just before Easter. So we've got 3 1-hour races, 4 super sprint rounds, and which I know a lot of these guys absolutely love the super sprint rounds. They're a lot of fun. And we've got a 90-minute race as well happening somewhere in there. And the season, I will confirm, does kick off at Spa. So we will be at Spa for this race at the start of the season. So date is yet to be confirmed. We are going to consult the community on whether we want to race on a Wednesday or whether we want to race on a Friday. We've got both options available, but I know some guys can't race on Fridays, some guys can't race on Wednesdays, so I think we're going to say let's put it to a vote, and sort of, you know, the most voted option wins, because we want to make sure that we can sort of maximise the availability of some of these guys that really are keen to race with us. So that'll happen sort of early January. The information will start to come out about that across the next couple of weeks. So definitely keep an eye out, because it's going to be really exciting. And I'm sort of in two minds after doing all this commentary today, Greedy, as to whether I race or whether I pull into a full-time commentary role for the series.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky one, because I tell you what, being on the other side of it damn feels good.
Yeah.
Not having to stress about all that other stuff and the racing, and commentary is just as fun, because you get to watch people succeed, you get to watch people bounce back. You see all of it in the commentary box, and I think that's when you're passionate about growing a league and watching everyone progress, kind of taking a step back is sometimes you get more gratitude out of it than you would actually racing the car, more satisfaction. So I can completely understand where you're coming from there, bro.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to sit and do all this commentary stuff, and I think maybe being able to bring people this sort of experience with our regular season. Obviously, we weren't able to do that for the mini series because we were racing in the mini series, so it wasn't something we were able to do throughout that. But potentially being able to bring this experience to people during the mini series would be something that would be a lot of other series either do or don't get the opportunity to do, and so we'd either be falling in line with a lot of the series that currently already do this, or we sort of have a bit of an advantage over the ones that don't. And GT Ted has found his way into the chat on the live stream. I've got that up on my phone, so I can see that all happening down down to my left. Max is very excited for the team's championship. I can't wait to see Max as a team manager. I hear he's a modern day Helmut Marko. He's very ruthless, so I think Max running a team could be what this sport needs. I think it'd be quite an interesting experience.
Yeah, there might be a Discord name change to Max Take No Prisoners Silver.
Take no prisoners, that is indeed. But I think for some of these guys as well, especially like guys that might want to sort of get themselves into a team. This is a great audition process for that. There's some guys that I know will say, all right, we're going to be a team together, and it'll be a 2-driver team format. So there might be guys that are the third in a sort of a group, and have to find their way into another team. And I think this is a great way and a lot of people have had brilliant drives today. It's a great audition process for that sort of that team's process. And I see Aiden Rogers now up in 4th place. He's doing a brilliant job in that Mustang. Again, I cannot speak highly of this bloke. Drew Griffin thinks I can do both. He thinks I can race and commentate. I don't know if I can do that at the same time. I think I would struggle. I appreciate your confidence though. GT Ted says, sign me up. This looks sick, mate. Assetto Corsa, get on it. Max, drop him a link to the Discord. Get in here and get involved. It's a lot of fun. This is always a good time.
And another big thing that's going to be for season 1 next year will be the rivalries that have come in the mini series. You know, everyone's going to be trying to scramble to get the best drivers for their teams, and it's going to become more than just a 2-driver rivalry. We're going to see team rivalries here.
Yeah.
So it's going to be quite spicy. I'm all for it. Let's just hope we can all keep it respectful, and yeah, it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, and I'm excited for it.
It's going to be absolutely brilliant. I cannot wait personally. And I'm the one that's planning it all, so I'm the one that already sort of, like, we're working together, but I'm the one that's sort of making all the, I have to type up all the documents and do all the, you know, the boring work things.
Yeah, I'm like Chuck Norris in the dodgeball, that scene where he just gives a thumbs up. That's me. Just thumbs up. Good work, Isaac. Keep that ball rolling. I'm here for moral support. But no, I try and get in and help everyone where I can with setups. I feel like I've got to understand the physics and got a good understanding, and I'm always here to try and help people. And you know, you can, if you go back through some of the commentary or some of the chats that we've had, the amount of sighing Isaac does when I am right with the setup changes really speaks volumes. So
yeah, Riley will tell you firsthand, even when you're not in the chat and I message you and you tell me something and then it works and I just go, God damn it.
And I just want to see everyone progress. Even my biggest competitor, if they reached out to me, I would help them out, because that's what it's all about. There's no point trying to keep all these secrets to yourself. You got to share them around. You got to make everyone the best drivers that they can be and get the most out of the game. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I got to ask you, Riley, as well, because we've sort of kept talking so long that you've been sitting quietly in the background there. Obviously, I would hope that you're coming back for season 1 next year. Are you gonna convince Chase to enter CP Motorsports into the Teams Championship?
Oh, we'll see how we go. You know, yeah. Hopefully we can work something out, and yeah, hopefully we can. Yeah, because I'd like to see me and Matt Donetti hopefully get up a team. If
that
we
would
can.
That would be a team.
Yeah, it'd be really good. So yeah, up to I'll let him know, and you know, if he gives the green light, then we can see where we can explore our options. But yeah, if we can try and get a good team, that'd be good, and I'd definitely be all in it.
Well, I think you and Matt Donetti would be a force to be reckoned with. That would be yeah. I would. I'd be watching that very closely, because no doubt we'll see the likes of FR Racing in here as well, and FR Racing and CP Motorsports have a long-standing rivalry across multiple platforms of sim racing and multiple leagues, and they always find their way back to battling each other, and I think that's something that I'm very excited to see. But also some new rivalries. We've got some guys in here that, you know, we haven't seen in the I haven't seen in the sim racing community before outside of ACC, and it's great to see them in here and racing in our little league that we started maybe 7 months ago, and the fact that it's grown into what it has already is absolutely spectacular. So as long as my team beats Nicholson's, I am happy. So that's a rivalry that I am very excited to see. Is the Reece Nicholson Max Silver team rivalry. That'll be absolutely brilliant. There's not going to be. I'm sorry, Max. There's not going to be much of a driver rivalry between the two of you. I think Reece firmly has you on that one at the moment, but the team rivalry certainly could well and truly be on. So I think you're going to have to get on the hiring stance there, Mr. Max Silver, and You haven't. I can't tell you how you can hire yet because there's certain rules and regulations around all of that, but those will all come out very soon, and I have no doubt Max will be trying to hire Lewis Hamilton to drive for his sim racing team. He's probably got a business pitch already lined up.
Maybe even Guy Barber. Maybe he might make
Oh,
an appearance.
I would be very unsurprised if Max managed to sweet talk a World Tour driver into coming onto his team. But I just want to say, there's still a race going on here, fellas. We've got an hour to go. There's still a race happening.
Exactly.
Not a lot happening though on track at the moment. Although I am noticing the gap between Mr. Lashbrook and JD has come down to 17 seconds. So that was well within like 30 seconds previously. And it's come right down now. It's underneath 20 seconds. So we're looking good for a bit of a battle to shape up in this last hour here.
Yeah, it's definitely turning into a bit of a midnight shift on the 24-hour of Le Mans at the moment, that's for sure. But we're also seeing Carter is coming up on a few back markers, so you know, this could be a little bit spicy. This could be something that everyone's been waiting for and could be shaken up if there is a mistake being made. So it looks like Mr. Carter will catch Scary. My prediction might be in the next lap or so is 2 seconds adrift. But yeah, could this be a deciding factor that makes the race interesting? We don't know, but we will be seeing some pit stops start to happen soon as we're in our last hour of the race.
Yeah, it's all going to start to unfold soon. What did Max say? 14 minutes to go is 40 minutes to go is when we'll start to probably see our last round of pit stops where you can comfortably fuel up and get home with no worries whatsoever. So I think you're right. As we come into the last hour, we're going to start seeing people make more pit stops. Everyone's got to at least make one more. There's no one that's yet to make two because people have made their stops. So they're doing quite well at the moment with everyone in terms of managing their pit stops. They've done a decent job. I think it's hard to sort of tell where everyone's at with. I should have been sort of trying to track driver
So the
driver
gap between
times.
third and second. So we've got second place of the Mercedes is coming out of the cunning, and we have third place coming into turn one at the moment. Get back to third and fourth is 23 seconds.
Ooh.
So fourth place is coming into the final corner, and third place halfway up Mountain Straight. And as I say that, Rogers is in the pits. Our fourth place car is in the pits.
So that will go on.
They'll put JD down a lap from Rogers here to try and make it minimum laps, trying to pass Rogers here, even though he won't pass him officially for race position, but he will get that lap back.
JD's fifth.
Rogers.
JD's fifth. So
Rogers is in the lead
Rogers is but they're both on the lead lap, I believe. Or are they not? Oh no, they're not. No.
They will
Okay.
both be on the. So once JD goes around again, they will both be on the same lap.
Oh, I did not even realise that he was a whole lap down. That is. I thought that lead was smaller than it was. So that's good for Rogers. He's pretty much safe in that fourth place for now. Because I would suggest that we will have to see all the cars that just sort of went around him come back in again for more fuel before the end of this race. But do we think that's it for Rogers? Do we reckon, or Levick's back in the car? So Sal Levick's back in the car. Do we think that's it? Do we reckon he's going to go to the end now?
Yeah, I reckon so. You know, they've done the stop that they needed to do. 56 minutes to go. You know, that's way too much. There's way too much possibility of saying you cannot go to the end with this. So they're definitely most comfortable into the end for this, because if you're saying, for example, if they did it later, say in the hour and 15 mark or the hour and 16 mark, you would have said, yeah, no, like you have to mitigate it most likely just for precaution. But nah, 56 minutes left. I think they've got that in the bag, and I think they've got that fourth place comfortably, or if more, if the top three crash out.
Yes, well, your good friend Max Silver agrees with you and says that it's an early stop, but that they'll go to the end. And your co-driver, Mr. Griffin, has said that he's pretty sure you've released him from his contract.
Nah, I haven't released him from any contract, mate. He did well. He tried his best in that race, but unfortunately, Bathurst decides, yeah, you're just the one that's we're gonna mess up with you today. So, yeah, unfortunate, but he did well in the practice sessions, and he was doing well in his pace as well through the race.
I apologize. I'm hearing technical issues for LJ potentially.
Oh no!
Don't know if we can confirm that by getting onto his stream. Maybe I'll see if I can suss that out.
But Matt goes into the pits as well.
Hearing technical issues for LJ. So let's see what happens.
Danetti has pulled into the pits as well, so maybe Danetti might be covering this LJ stint if LJ cannot go out there for the last stint.
Yes, well, Ridwan, I've just realised Ridwan, Lashbrook, Danetti and LJ are all in a chat together. So I think we're about to find out what's going to happen when LJ hits drive.
Could be the old cloud going over the Starlink satellite.
This very well could be. Nick Carter's into the lane as well. I'm watching this very intensely because I'm very curious as to what is about to happen when this car drops. LJ's clicked drive. What? There we go. All right, no, let's let him in the car. We're good. We're good. Everyone, calm down.
He's rolling backwards.
He's rolling backwards. He hasn't turned the car. He hasn't turned the car on.
The car's not on.
The car's not on.
The
Yeah.
car cannot turn on.
Chris is telling him to press the starter. LJ can't get the car to start.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's shades of Shane Van Gisbergen. He's having shades of Shane Van Gisbergen. My car won't start.
There we go.
No, he's going. He's good.
He's got it.
Ridwan said it was an issue with the server.
Got disqualified.
No, Ridwan said it was an issue with the server, and I just think it's couldn't get the car to start. He's good now. He's on the roll. He's moving. All right.
Back a
And we
hefty lot of
see-
positions though as well.
And we see Scott Smith back in the car for Suter as he exits the pits also.
There we go. Alright, I'll just get off LJ now. Yep,
And
so both.
critically, he's
Oh.
going to get past. I was
Here
going
we
to say
go.
critically in front of Lashbrook, but Lashbrook right off the inside.
Lashbrook's
Not
also
gonna
a
make
lap
life
down.
easy for him.
So this is going to go interestingly now for these two. But again, Lashbrook's just going to let him go. Yep, that's the smart move, I would think, for those guys to just sort of let it go. Okay, let's have a look what's happening now. So, last set of stops are starting to unfold now. Can't escape technical issues even in this racing world. No, you cannot. Technical issues are a fact of life, unfortunately. We had our fair share of them this morning trying to get the qualifying stream going, but touch wood, it's actually been okay for this this race stint. I think we're still live on YouTube. Yes, we are. We've got 12 people watching, so g'day to the people that are watching. 117 views on this video, which is quite good, quite nice. It's lovely to see you all tuning in. Thank you for the support on this race, on this series. I wonder what is going on for. Well, that's the other Smith. Here we go. So this is Lashbrook is still right behind the other Scott Smith. This is, I don't know whether this is going to be, Lashbrook is just going to be faster and try and get past him, but this could get spicy if they keep trying to push.
Yeah, screaming a little bit, but he'll be low on fuel, so he'll have that straight line speed. But we've got to remember that Scott Smith does have the fastest lap of the race, so don't expect him to be slow for too long.
Have you found anything interesting, Mr. Nicholson? You seen anything happening on track at the moment?
Look, to be completely honest, it's pretty much all dominance here for Mr. Carter at the moment. He's been dominant all race from the start to mostly the finish, realistically, if he keeps up well in this pace. But obviously as well, we were just mentioning earlier with Lashbrook and the other Smith as well in the Aston Martin. Yeah, it depends on how Lashbrook sees the opportunity in terms of trying to unlap himself, hopefully, and obviously he's got to catch up to JD in 5th place if he wants to try and get a 5th place spot finish. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, Smith! Hey, Smith,
Oh, no!
Martin has spinned it down on Skyline.
Oh no, I just tuned into that as it happened. Did he do that on his own or was he helped?
He did do it on his own.
Oh,
He
wow.
lost control of the rear of the Aston Martin, which is
Massive
a little
incident.
bit loose down the Skyline as per se, as I was driving that this morning, and it did not feel likely good. But
No.
yeah, it cost really good damage, or really not so bad damage for Mr. Smith, number 2 in the Aston Martin. But he got 45 seconds behind to 4th place car, the number 253 car in Levick, which hopefully he can go down Skyline safely in that Mustang. But
Yeah,
yeah,
hopefully.
Smith again lost a lot of time there as well. And as you can see, Mr. Hammond is getting helped by the other Smith in the Mercedes-Benz, which most likely, I think, Smith will most likely be able to have to pit soon.
He's gonna
to let Nomi back in the car as well. So yeah, hopefully.
Well, I don't think Moni has to get back in the car if he doesn't want to. I believe that he's done an hour and 17 minutes, so his stint is done in theory. So it's if depending on no, Smith has just come into the lane, so that will mean he will stay in the car till the end. He'll have to, otherwise he won't meet minimum stint requirements. But this Smith has stayed out. He will have massive damage. That was a huge impact on the side of the car. It was all very side on though, so hopefully it's fairly even whatever damage it is he has. But whether he goes to the end now or whether he tries to come back in later for a fresh set of tyres, he's struggling with the turn in there. He struggled to get the car stopped into the cutting, so that car looks like it's a bit of a handful at the moment, that Aston Martin. Not doing what he wants to do. He's very aggressive under the tree still though, so we'll have to see how that continues to unfold. I'm just trying to get a read on this Mr. Scott Smith and what he's going to do in this stop. I'd say he will come back out in the car. I don't think that Moni will get back in for another stint. Nope, he will not. Smith will stay in the car, so he'll run to the end of this race now. That'll be them to the end. Hammond running quite well in 7th place at the moment. He's got 18 seconds up the road to Lashbrook, who then has about 10 seconds only now up the road to Jimmy D. There is Mr. Sandwith down in 9th place at the moment. With obviously they had to sit in the pits for a little bit before they were able to get in. Looked like there was some technical issues. Not entirely sure of the full story there as to what happened. But yeah, Lashbrook chasing down JD, and it's about a 10-second gap at the moment. So this is getting closer as we edge closer to the end of this race. As my controller decides it wants to go flat again.
Yeah, just looking at that replay of Smithy coming over into Skyline there, and you can see the tail of the car just getting a little bit happy and just hitting the brakes and then locking those rears up, and it just sent him into the spin. But we can tell that the Aston Martin takes quite a little bit just to get up to temperatures. We know that Mr. Suter, he got a little bit crossed up as well with cold tyres, so maybe Mr. Smith has just been a victim of the cold tyre scenario once again.
Yeah, most likely, and obviously in the Aston Martin cars as well, like with my perspective as my first outlap that I was doing, as I got out of the pits, it was feeling a little bit stiff with the cold tyres and all that sort of stuff. But you know, you find where you go down the skyline, you got to brake just a tad bit extra, so then then you'll be safely okay going down through skyline, and then bang, going through the S's and the dipper, then bang on the throttle, go for it, and then go down Forest Elbow, nice and clean, so you can get a good run off to Common Rod. But as well as you can see with Mr. Smith as well, struggling a little bit down in the S's there, down through Skyline, but is managing to get that car through really well, despite having the damage. So yeah, I don't know. It might be good to the race. He might be able to do this for the end of the race, maybe. But yeah, I think so with what's it called, 253 car as well. Sorry for being rude, but yeah, 253 car is still got a big gap towards third place there, with mostly 30 plus seconds to third place there as well. And basically he's got a back marker car coming up there in Scary as well, coming down through Forest over there. So like I said, it's just realistically it's coming to that part of the race where it's getting close to the end, but you're seeing the cars a bit more close, but then yet again it's just pretty much pure dominance from the top two there, and Smith and Mr. Carter.
Sorry to interrupt. I know we've got a lot going on. JD has just come. James Dalton has just come back into the pit lane, so that has released Chris Lashbrook into 5th place, and looks like it will give James Hammond 6th place for now. But he still has to make one more stop before the end of this race. So JD has, I believe, it must be obviously for fuel. I'm not sure when they last stopped, but it looks like they're sort of going 50-50 on the split stints here. So this will give the car back over to Luke Muscat to finish this race out. But yeah, he's just come back into the lane. I just noticed that as you were talking there, Riley, and he's handed the reins back over to Luke Muscat, it would appear, for the end to go to the end of this one.
Yeah, as we also see, Grant Scar is also in the pits as well.
See if I can get a angle on that. So that potentially may be.
I believe Grant Scar is also a lap down from the number 23 car as well. So that's not full position. But yes, we will see it spice up a little bit, because the 23 car did have damage and they have fixed it. So we know James Hammond has no damage on that BMW at the moment. So
the 98 car.
On the 98 car. So that might mean it might be close on the exit. So James Hammond might be able to give the reins back over to Tyler and still hold on to that P6 position.
Very, very well possibly could. I would not be surprised if these guys are in the top 6, potentially maybe even looking at a top 5 before this one is over. If they... It depends what the strategy that Lashbrook is running. He may actually be able to get to the end with where he's at. Just reading the chat and interacting with Mr. Toolshed, Mr. Griffin in the chat, there may be a bit of a cloud over the number 8 car with how many minutes he's done of his required stint, Mr. Donetti. They don't know if he's done quite enough time in that car. So that'll be interesting to see. The easiest way to probably check is to go back and see at what point he got in the car and then at what point he got out the car to know whether he's done enough time. So I don't know whether Max is still watching, whether he might be able to work that one out for us.
Well, we do know he's completed his stint time on the roof of the car for sure, but driving time, yes, completely different story.
Yes, whether he has met stint time on the roof of the car, we are on all 4 wheels. We are not yet sure. We are checking, as the Ferrari strategists say. We are checking. What I do believe, just putting my admin pants on for a second, and doing a quick check. They only came in to do a driver change an hour and 10 minutes ago. At 1:53 left in the race. So when they came in to then change back drivers, how long ago was that? Let me see if I can figure this out. When it came in to change back drivers 15 minutes ago, by the looks of it. So by that standpoint, I would suggest that Matt Zanetti still has to do 15 minutes of his driving time. Yes. So Matt Zanetti still has 15 minutes of his driving time to complete.
Oh no, just as we've seen, second place of Scott Smith has gone around at the depot, and will this affect the leader? No, it doesn't. So great heads-up driving from Nick Carter, but Smithy is in a horrible spot, and absolute goated move there. Doing a precision little clutch up to get her around. So great driving of Recover. Very, very unfortunate. I was just on board with him when I seen it as well. He was 4 temps up on his time and probably looking to do the fastest lap of the race, really pushing that Mercedes. But yeah, very unfortunate, but still retains second place.
It must be the curse, Greeny, because every time you see someone, it's just fucking...
Man, I have the bad juju hanging over me. And he nearly just goes off the chase, so I am going to go spectate someone else.
Yeah, from the pace I can see at the moment, if we're going for the mid-pack here, Mr. Lashbrook is currently in 5th place comfortably, with a gap to Hammond behind him with a 23-second gap as well, as Hammond goes down in the down part of the mountain into Forest Elbow. But yeah, I think this is a great surviving back drive comeback here from Ridwan and Lashbrook, because they were was pretty much last as Lashbrook decides to do their final stop before they need to go to the end. But very late on the stop there, but it's fine. But yeah, that will actually put maybe even Hammond up past Lashbrook, possibly back into P5. So yeah, basically it's just honestly just a good comeback drive from both Lashbrook and Ridwan, obviously 2-class drivers that are really well done in their games as well, in their styling as well. So yeah, but if we look back down to Scott Smith in the Mercedes, has been lapped as well. So I don't know if the Mercedes does need to have a little pit for maybe bodywork or even suspension, even if their suspension's probably a little bit off there in terms of their steering.
Yeah, I think it wasn't. I don't think the crash was significant enough for them to pit again, but it'd just be enough just to be a nuisance for the rest of the race. But I believe the time lost will be too much, as we see. But then again, we do know that Scott Smith is also carrying a little bit of damage from his little excursion over into Skyline there. So yeah, I think if they do choose to pit, it would make for some great racing, but I just don't think there will be a need to do it, as both cars carrying damage for the rest of the race.
Well, both Scott Smith, if we can go back to the other Scott Smith, he did have a little incident down in Skyline as well, in the Aston Martin in the entry point of Skyline. So if they were able to pit both Scott Smiths, it would be a little good battle at the end there between the Mercedes and the Aston Martin there to show what's truly the good front FR car, realistically, in those sort of 2 cars. But obviously you got Mr. Carter there in the Mustang, just absolutely flooring it down there by himself with 36 minutes to go as well. Yeah, true talent of a driver, and obviously in 4th place with the 253 car, who's actually, well, that's Lashbrook that's just pitted, but yeah, the 253 car has truly shown their ground as well today by keeping their top 4 placement as well, being consistent all racing between both of their drivers. So yeah, it's all around in the grid as well. All around great drivers and really good consistency, and they're trying to push even harder and hopefully don't take risks and yeah, hopefully they can just have a smooth ride to the end.
Yeah, but just as I'm watching now,
Oh,
James
Lashbrook's
Hamilton's
gone
in
off.
some pits.
Lashbrook's off at a crucial time as well. I'd noticed that. I was going to bring that up. And James Hamilton's in the pit lane, and Lashbrook's just gone off at the chase.
Oh, this could be very interesting. So I believe that the driver swap will go to Tyler now to finish out the rest of the race, and he'll be on a low fuel, fresh tyre run. That BMW is going to be fast towards the end of the race.
Yeah, he's going to be a little... Oh, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say the BMW is really the greatest pace on low fuel, realistically. So with heavy fuel in the BMWs, not really that fast, but it's manageable enough to drive the car. But if you're in the BMW, if you've got fresh tyres and a low fuel, you're basically just praying to yourself that you do not spin off, because that's the best pace that you're going to be at the moment. Sorry, Isaac.
Oh, you're right. I was just going to say, there's now a 20-second gap between Tyler and Lashbrook. So it probably would have been a lot bigger if Lashbrook hadn't gone off at the chase. But it shows that Lashbrook is pushing hard, and this could open up Tyler to a 5th place towards the end of this race. They've had a brilliant drive to come back from dead last to 6th place so far. They've done a brilliant job. Max has just confirmed that Matt Donetti still has his Tyler makes a little bit of contact with the wall. He's pushing hard as well on cold tyres. A little bit of contact with the wall just coming through Salmon Park there. But Max has confirmed that Matt Donetti still has 15 minutes of driving time that he needs to complete. So that message will have to be passed on to LJ and Donetti to let them know that he still has to do that.
Yeah, that could be a little bit of a thorn in the side that's going to happen there. Yeah, like if we go back to where they're sitting at the moment, and they are sitting in P8, so this will put them into 9th place if they do have to pit again. So yeah, it's very unlucky for the car number 15 of LJ and Matt Donetti. But I tell you what, they get the Bathurst Gymnastics Studio Award for the nice little cartwheel down the hill. That is an accomplishment in itself. So
100%. And
they've shown some great pace.
Matt just commented on the stream that he made a mistake at the stop, but he's I don't know if he's still listening, but Matt, you've done a brilliant job for someone that is still fairly new to this game, and you've been thrown in the deep end with a 3-hour race, including driver swaps. A lot of these guys that have been new to this game, like Tyler, have had 4 rounds of a mini series to sort of adjust and get used to how this game works and doing all the pit stops and stuff. And he's done a brilliant job, has Matt Donetti. I mean, his aerobics, his little acrobatics, I should say, down the mountain was a sight to behold. But no, he's done a brilliant job. All these guys have done an absolutely brilliant job. Some of these guys are seasoned professionals at this, but someone like Tyler as well, who he's been Gran Turismo his whole life, and you convinced him, Greenie, to get in and have a go, and he was a bit unsure, and he had a bit of a rough trot when we did the 90 minutes of Bathurst. He was running really well, and then, like a lot of us, he came a little bit unstuck and made a mistake, and it was really frustrating. But he came back for the mini series, and he's done really well, and I think that is a testament and the reason why he currently sits 2nd in the mini series standings, potentially 3rd at the end of this race, with how well the 862 car is doing, with Craig Suter jumping up into 2nd. But he's done an absolutely brilliant job to do as well as he has done. A lot of these guys have done an absolutely brilliant job.
Yeah, 100%. Tyler is a very passionate racer, probably one of the most passionate guys on this grid. and I've driven some Enduros with him on GT7 and done a lot of racing with him for over the past year and a bit, and I know his driving style very well, and it definitely suits ACC, and you know, I've kind of helped him along the way and shown him a little bit here and there, and he's hit the ground running, and he has gotten so quick, like in such a short space of time, and I'm very stoked for him. He's definitely one of the most improved in this server by a long shot. Just absolute unfortunate, like what's happened at the start with him. With that little incident, but you know, currently P6 just goes to show how much putting your head down, getting back up there, what it does. You know, he's 19 seconds behind 5th place, so anything can happen until then. But as we see now, he's 2.2 up on his time, and he's setting his fastest laps of the race. So just as he touches the wall, and I will scroll off him and stop talking about him because I do not want to give him the curse. But yeah, very big shout out to Tyler
please.
for absolutely being a legend and loving
No
the game
more
more than
curses.
anyone else.
Yeah.
No more curses.
No more
bad
curses.
juju's.
No more, please. Absolutely. Just like talk about. If you're gonna give a curse to anyone, I don't want to wish a curse on anybody, but Nick Carter is light years in
Nick
front.
Carter
He has
definitely
laps.
He's a whole lap ahead. So let's
Yeah.
talk about Nick Carter, because if he does crash, at least he'll just go back down into back down to earth instead
On the
of being an
on the lead
alien.
lap.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he's I've raced Nick quite a lot, and he's a brilliant driver in that Porsche. But I tell you what, in the Mustang, wow, he's on another level.
Yeah, he's an
Bathurst
absolute brilliant
seems
job.
to suit Nick for sure.
Oh yeah, he was quick here when we did the 90-minute race when they did the single driver enduro, and he's doubled that time to do what should be a 2-driver enduro as a wild card. So he came into this. He's been a factor all season in the mini series standings, but he came into this. I said, if you're doing it solo, because he got stuffed around with his co-drivers, and he had a co-driver, and then he didn't, and then he had another one, and then he didn't. I said, if you want to do it, I'm happy to let you do it, but you have to do it as a wild card. Can't let you take championship points from it. And he said yes. All he wanted to do was race, and he loves it. He absolutely froths it, and he's been pretty much perfect this whole race. I'm very interested to see when this race is over what his lap times look like, and just how consistent his lap times are, because this guy is very consistent with the laps that he does. He's very rarely outside a second of his fastest lap time at any point.
And that's the big thing with these enduros. It's not about being the fastest over one lap. It's about having a good car set up to have the fastest stint time, the fastest overall time. So yeah, we've seen some 202s from the car 862, but Nick's with 203.1, but I don't think he's ever left the 203s. He stayed in the 203s this entire race, and he's just, punched them out, stayed consistent, hit his marks, no mistakes, no damage, and it's just a testament to his experience within the game. Like, we've got a lot of people from all different sim racing backgrounds. Like, I believe it's a pretty good mix between ACC drivers and GT7 drivers, and it's good to see some of the GT7 alien guys getting a little bit schooled by the ACC guys, but I want to see the ACC guys on GT7 too, and they'll probably get their butts kicked too. But yeah, it's awesome to see sim racing bringing everyone together.
It certainly is, and we've got 27 minutes to go in this race. We are just over 2.5 hours into this race. It's been a very action-packed race, and I'm going to find, I've just gone past it, I'm going to go back to it, because with half an hour to go, I'm going to take the opportunity to have another bathroom break. I'm going to put this on board with this Porsche that you love so much, Greeny, so that they can listen to the dulcet tones of the Porsche. I'm going to sort of mute us all for a minute so we can all have a quick break, and we'll be back in just a minute, but we're going to have a quick break so everyone can enjoy the sounds of this Porsche on board. All right, we are back. We have 22 minutes to go, just under now, left in this race, and we've been giving you some onboards. We had the Porsche for a bit, then we had the Mercedes, now we have the Mustang, all brilliant sounding cars. The cars in this game just sound absolutely spectacular. That's all I have to say about that, really. They just sound really good.
Yeah, I believe there's quite a few different videos out there on what cars sounds have the best sounds like in the sim racing world, and I think Assetto Corsa ranks pretty high in like the best like car sounds that in a game. So yeah, if anyone gets a chance to drive the Audi R8 in this game also, it has a very nice rev limiter too, and also the Camaro Group 4 sounds absolutely sick coming out Concord Straight.
Oh, the Camaro. So that was going to be the safety car. With the Camaro, it was going to be that was going to be what we used for the safety car, just because it sounds so good.
Exactly, and that thing would not have left second or third gear. That would have been on the limiter, just sounding amazing as it does.
Typical. So, Max is saying Danetti will have to jump in within the next few minutes, and I would suggest they are aware of that fact. They have about 5 minutes leeway for Danetti to jump in. So I'd say LJ will do another lap or two, and then, or at least another lap, and then hand over the reins to Danetti to bring it home. Frustrating for those guys because they were having it was a fairly up and down day for these guys. They started really well. LJ had a really good lap in qualifying, and then just things haven't quite gone their way in the race. And they're 72 laps in compared to, I think it's about 76 for our race leader, Nick Carter. So about 4 laps down at the moment. So not quite the way they probably wanted their race to go, but they've still done a brilliant job.
Yeah, they've done an amazing job. Qualifying 4th after possibly what was a rough quali session at the start there when LJ was trying to find its rhythm in the Ferrari for Bathurst, and sure enough, they got done the final lap and put out of a banger of a time. Put himself into 4th place, and yeah, they pretty much just had unfortunate results during the race. With obviously the car, and obviously with a couple of technical issues that they've had along the race as well. So, but they should be proud of what they've done today, and yeah, obviously, especially with Matt Danetti having a go as well. So yeah, really proud of him.
Yeah, he's done a great job. We can't talk up his stocks enough for that kid. He's done an absolutely mega job, and someone else who's done a mega job to bring this back is the number 14 car of Ribbon Hamza and Chris Lashbrook. They've done a great job to be back up into the top 5 after a challenging start. And Tyler Lanzell as well, down in 6th place, also is currently doing a great job. He's just been lapped by Nick Carter, so Carter is going on with it. He's not looking like slowing down. He's just done another 2:03. We're going to see if LJ comes in this time around. I think he's going to have to. No, he's going to go one more time. So he reckons he'll get away with one more lap, does Mr. Sandwith. He wants to maximise his car time as much as possible to make sure that he gets the seat time.
Yeah, just looking at the times as well, the gap between him and Wayne Gardner has increased significantly. So I think LJ might be trying to create that gap, and so they can keep 8th place. Be able to be a low fuel, fresh tyre run for Mr. Danetti. So will we see a fastest lap? Don't know. But if there's anyone that can do it, it's probably Matt.
Yeah, he said earlier he's starting to come to grips with this game. He was finding some pace towards the end of his stint. So if anyone's going to pull out something with 15 minutes to go in this race, it's going to be Matt Danetti. He's going to find a way to absolutely fly around this circuit for these last 15 minutes. LJ is coming up through underneath the tree and into Solomon Park now, so I would suggest that this lap will be the lap he has to come in to change drivers back. They'll be aware of that though. They've got a chat with himself and Danetti, and then Ridwan and Chris all in a little voice chat together. So they'll be leaning on the experience of who's affectionately known as the Sensei, is Ridwan. They'll be leaning on his experience to guide them in this sort of strategy towards the end, and just how much they attack this last 15 minutes. So I don't think they're going to catch up to Luke Muscat, considering he's 12 seconds behind them, a lap ahead. But they should be able to defend and hold on to this 8th place over Wayne Gardner. So we'll keep a close eye on that. I'm just looking if there's any sort of gaps that are starting to close up. Doesn't sort of appear to be any that are closing up at this stage in time, but hopefully towards the end we're going to start to see a couple get a bit closer together.
As we see LJ into the pits.
There we go.
Going to hand the keys over to Mr. Donetti. Keep a close eye on where Gardner is. So Gardner's coming out of Forest Elbow here, so this could be interesting.
Yes, well, I don't think it's going to be a very long stop. Whether they do tyres, I'm not sure. Whether they... Oh, he's had to back up a little bit. He's had to back up a bit. He's overshot the box. And it's also sitting in reverse gear, so that's something that Donetti's going to have to watch when the car drops, because if it's in reverse gear, he'll just go backwards.
Oh, no. He's gonna do a foggy at the start. He's gonna reverse off. It's
I
not
try
like
to
LJ to miss the box. He has kids. That's
Come on.
Oh no.
Nah, well, it's taken the shine off. It was taking the spotlight off me a little bit there, but yes, he's Gardner coming along the front straight now.
Gardner across the line.
So this is going to be a... Matt Donetti has just dropped, so he's just been given the keys to the car and he's away. Gardner is on the front straight. There he is. Where is Matt Donetti? Will we see him? There he is. You can just see him in the background on my screen if you're watching the stream. You can just see him sort of come out of the pit lane. So it's almost a straight gap between these two. 9.3 seconds. And Gardner's lapping in the 2-minute 10s. Matt Donetti before he stopped was doing 2:06s. What is this going to unfold? What's this going to look like towards the end? This could shape up to be... I would try and predict how soon we're going to get a battle pack, but last time we did that, you did that, Greenie, the prediction came true a lot sooner. So we will just have to keep a close eye on this gap. It's already starting to close down, and Donetti is pushing that car. If we can find his onboard, Donetti is pushing that car. He's got Mr. Lashbrook, or Chris Lashbrook, 10 seconds behind him. So he's got clear air behind. He's got clear air in front. He's chasing down Wayne Gardner. That gap is down to 6.8 seconds. So that gap has already closed out. Oh no, he's in the wall again.
No,
that is massive contact. Cold tyres. That is absolutely massive. That was huge contact with the wall. That is massive damage to that Ferrari. Is he going to go on with it, or is he going to have to come in the lane and get that fixed? But that was absolutely huge.
He's going to have to keep going. If he wants to try and get Gardner, he's going to have to keep going.
I'm just going on board with Matt now. The steering's on. It's on the air.
That's on the kill side. Yeah, you can see.
Right now. Absolutely done.
Oh, let's have a look. Yeah, you can see, just to go in a straight line, he's steering so far right hand down. That is so disappointing. The wheel is straight to turn left. The wheel is straight to turn left in at the chase. That is super unlucky. Is he going to stay out, or is he going to come in? He's going to come in.
Nah, he's got a box.
He's got a box. That's so disappointing.
Just
that
a bit
was
of cold tyres.
Cold tyres, trying to push it hard down the hill. He'll just come in to fix the damage, I would say. But that is super gutting. Yeah, no words there. That was absolutely huge.
Yeah, we should have told Matt that he's already got the gymnastics award and he doesn't need to do it again. I think that's just Bathurst, just bite.
That is Bathurst.
You gotta,
absolutely.
You got to really respect the track on cold tyres, especially coming into the late in the afternoon. The temperature does drop across that top of that mountain a little bit, and yeah, it's just a shame. But we've seen it's just been the story of the day so far. Just the first kind of outlaps after the pit on cold tyres. It's bitten a few of these drivers, and moving forward, Yeah, that's just something that we're all going to learn about ACC, isn't it?
Yeah.
That the cars take a couple laps to warm up and race trim.
Yeah, 100%.
Nah, but nah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's been a very eye-opening experience, I'm sure, for Matt Tonetti. He's out of the lane now, and I'll just try and find where he is. There we go. So he's out of the lane, back onto the track. He's got 11 minutes left. I don't think he's going to catch up to Gardner, but he'll try and do some decent laps towards the end here. Gardner, yeah, is on the opposite side of the circuit, essentially, or coming down into the chase, and Donetti's just gone through turn 2, so opposite ends of the circuit, basically. Tyler Lanzell's just unlapped himself against Levick, so he's not for position, but he's moved himself back up. Ahead in terms of how many laps he is down on that 4th place car, and he's chasing after Nick Carter. So they're doing relatively similar lap times at the moment, I think. Tyler Lanzell's done a 2:04.8 on the previous lap, and Carter's still in the 2:03s, which is he's done a 2:03.9, and it looks like he's going to go faster this lap. Whether that's faster on his best time or whether that's faster on his... It is faster on his best time. He's just done a 2:03.0. It doesn't count because the lap's been invalidated somewhere, so it won't count as his best lap time, but he's going quicker. He is putting the foot to the floor with 10 minutes to go here. He doesn't just want to win. He wants that fastest lap.
Yeah, he definitely wants to absolutely just decimate the field and stand on that top step going, where is everyone? Oh wait, you were a lap down.
Yeah. I think he's got a bit of a point to prove after that mini series and some of the unfortunate results that he's had. I think he just wants to go out and show everyone, hey, when we get to season 1 next year, look out, because I'm not mucking around. I'm here to play.
Yes. He did not come here to intercourse spiders, that is for sure.
He did not, and you know what? We have the... I clicked, when they asked me at the start of this live stream, is this live stream made for kids? I said no. So I think we're well within our rights to say that he did not come here to fuck spiders.
Correct.
If YouTube wants to demonetize me...
Yep.
He is definitely dragging his genitalia across the top of the mountain, that's for sure.
That is absolutely...
The worst thing about Nick in that car at the moment is, you know, he's sitting on those large testicles that he has.
Oh,
being
no.
able to just absolutely send it every night.
Donetti's in the lane again.
Oh,
Donetti's back in the lane with more damage.
Oh,
It's I'm getting flashbacks to Matt Donetti in the Bathurst Enduro for Track Stars with about the same amount of time to go. He put it in the wall, and Max says in regards to my saying the F word, he said, "My pets are listening. What the heck?" So
I can't laugh too hard.
so it looks
No,
like
it's been...
yeah, go on, sorry.
This race has had a bit of everything, hasn't it? We've seen some awesome resilience. Some people just get absolutely just skull-effed, and you know, others that have just run their own race, been super clean and clocked the laps off, and it's been cool to watch. You know, I think these drivers may be a little bit bored just circulating by themselves and whatnot, but I tell you what, from a commentator's perspective, it's actually been pretty cool to watch, because you know, I'm on board with Tyler at the moment, and he's just set his fastest lap of the race, 2:03.5.
Oh no! No!
Put his foot down too hard in the pits.
No!
He's done an LJ.
It's gone from bad to worse.
He's
Poor
already
guy.
dead. Stop.
He's already dead. Oh. It's absolute kick in the guts, and
I
even
can hear the screams coming from the Hunter Valley.
Oh, is he up my way? Is he?
He sure is.
I'll have to go find him and give him a hug.
He's a fellow electrician.
Oh.
And us Sparkies, we do scream and we get upset, and he'd be quite upset.
I'll have to go and find him and give him a nice big hug, because man, that is just the game rubbing salt into the wound. Really, it's that is super frustrating for Matt Donetti, who will have to come back in to serve that 30-second stop go. So he's just sat there for about a minute and a half to fix the damage, and now he's going to have to come back in and sit there for another 30 seconds. But yes, anyway, back to your point. Everyone sort of has spread out. Like, no one is really... I think the closest sort of for position on track is Tyler Lanzell and Christopher Lashbrook, which is 21 seconds currently is that gap.
Yeah, and they've been running identical times. The most, it's gone from 20 to 22. They're both running great times. They're both driving amazing. Lashbrook and Hamza coming through the way they did, absolutely. It's just a credit to show that they're skillful, especially with Rick One's little incidents coming through the pack. You know, having that such a bit of like a lap time delta can be tricky at sometimes, but yeah, they've definitely bounced back and come good for a top 5, and in theory really kind of saved his championship. But even saying Tyler as well, being towed back to the pits, being a lap down at the start, coming back to P6, absolutely awesome also, to get his head down. And James Hammond doing an hour and 15 stint in the BMW as well. That's no easy task to be able to hit your numbers consistently and not overdrive the car. So you do go under your stint timer. It's very tricky. So they've nailed their strategy, even though the start didn't work out for them.
No, absolutely they haven't. I was just looking at Lashbrook there. He got held up across the top by Wayne Gardner, but we did advise in the driver's briefing for cars not to, and I think I mentioned this earlier in the broadcast as well, for drivers not to let people go past under blue flags across the top of the mountain, because it's just, it's not safe, and it's very narrow across there, and no doubt Lashbrook would have been very frustrated with the fact that he was stuck behind him for so long, but he's got enough gap to the car behind that it's not really going to affect him too much, and he's a whole lap down on the car ahead, so that was also not going to affect him a whole heap either. But he's clear of him now and rolling with a few laps to go. It's been a brilliant drive back from both these guys. As you mentioned, Tyler Lanzell, he got towed back to the pits early on in this race, was a whole lap down, and I think it's a combination of a lot of things. He's driven absolutely brilliantly from that point on, and James Hammond has also done a brilliant job behind the wheel of that car. He did an hour and 16 minutes, I believe, behind the wheel of that BMW, and just an absolute ripper of a job doing that stint. And other people have had a bit of an unfortunate run around them and behind them, but that's, you've still got to keep your nose clean and bring it home in one piece if you want to make up for, you want to take advantage of the incidents that other people have. So with 3 minutes to go here, he's done a brilliant job to be in the position that he's in.
Yeah, for sure. And someone that we haven't really mentioned much of is Sal Levick and Aaron Rodgers, the 253 car. They've just kept their nose clean for the entire race. P4, couple of little mistakes here and there, but nothing major. No major wall hits requiring toes and stuff, and they've got themselves in a solid position overall. And that's an absolute credit to their strategy as well. They've nailed the strategy,
100%.
and that's the thing with Bathurst. You just got to bounce back every time. One more thing I will mention too is Luke Muscat and JD in P7 in that Porsche. Another car, they've just hit their marks, getting on with the race. Spent a time in P6, P5, up there with the boys, and another car that's didn't make too many crazy mistakes, but to stay consistent throughout the race. And that P7's really good.
Oh yeah,
really good for them, I believe.
These guys have been up and in there throughout the day. And these guys qualified ninth, so they were last of the cars that qualified. So to be up in P7 and to be even earlier on looking at P5, P6 was a really good job. They got unlucky with a couple incidences that have put them back down the order, but they've done a really good job. And as you mentioned, Aiden Rogers and Sale Levick have done an absolutely stellar job to be in P4. They qualified 6th in this race, and they were just shy of missing out on. I think they were about a 10th off LJ in 5th place at the end of qualifying, and Levick qualified that car and did an absolutely brilliant job. And he's done a brilliant job to get that car up the order. He got a relatively clean race start. There may be a couple incidences, and he had a few moments. I think these guys could have very well been on for a podium. The pace that they've had throughout this day, and just the consistency that they've had at the back half of this race, especially Aiden Rogers has done a brilliant job, and Levick in this second stint as well has just kept his nose clean and done a brilliant job. And we've got a minute to go here, so we'll tune in with Mr. Nick Carter, because the next time he crosses the line will be the last time, will be for the second last time, sorry, I should say, to start the final lap. He's got Wayne Gardner in front of him being shown blue flags. I also want to confirm for you, Mr. Josh Green and Mr. Rowan Nicholson, he's done it. He's got the fastest lap of the race. He has done a 2:02.6, which is absolutely flying. He did a 2:01.3 in qualifying, which is also absolutely ridiculous. This guy has been absolutely millimetre perfect all day.
And I think the next fastest driver was Scott Smith, number 2, in Aston Martin, and his was a 2:02.9. So that goes to show, 3 times quicker, especially coming in the end of the race. The fatigue's not setting into him at all.
No, absolutely not. He is, if anything, he's going. He's spurred on. He's going even quicker, and we've just hit 0 on the timer. So this will be, as it was confirmed when Carter crossed the line, this will be the final lap of the race. This has been an amazing 3 hours. It's just on almost 10. It's just after 5 New South Wales local time, and 6:23 currently in the game. So they've done 3 hours of real life racing, 12 hours of simulated racing, and Nick Carter has been millimetre perfect from start to finish. There is not a moment he hasn't led this race. He has led it from the start, from turn 1 all the way. At this stage, I don't think he's gonna make a mistake to drop that far down the order. He can just crawl it to the end. But he has led it from start to finish, and he's led every lap. He's got the fastest lap of the race. He's done what do they call it? What's the term in Formula 1? It's not a clean sweep. It's something else. It'll come to me eventually. But whatever it is, he's done it. He's absolutely nailed everything this weekend. He's been absolutely stellar. He wasn't sure he was going to be able to drive because he didn't have a teammate. He's come in as a wild card, so he won't get the points for this, unfortunately. It would have done wonders for his championship, I think, if he had, considering where some of his rivals are. But nevertheless, he is going to come through the chase for the final time. It's been a grueling 3 hours of racing. There's been tails up and down the lane, both good and bad. But this man has been millimetre perfect, as we said, all day. He has not put a foot wrong. He's going to come through Murray's Corner for the final time under the bridge. He runs wide on exit. There's his first and only mistake of the race. He's going to cross the line to win here at Bathurst for the 3 hours of Bathurst for the AGT ACC mini-series. That was Tyler Lanzell coming across the line to finish in 6th place. Wayne Gardner finishes 8th. He got tagged there at the end. Sal Levick is going to come across the line for SA Racing to come 4th. I'm just trying to find where Scott Smith is in 2nd. So Scott Smith 1 for Hoon Corp Racing will come across the line to finish 2nd. Scott Smith 2 is going to come through the chase now to come across the line and finish 3rd. So it's going to be a double Scott Smith podium. We've got We got Nick Carter and I believe it's Trash Talk Racing are going to take the win. It's going to be Hooncorp in second, and then it's going to be Renee Gracie Racing in third with the second of the Scott Smiths. And then Sal Levick in fourth did a brilliant job. Luke Muscat is going to come home for seventh. Fifth place goes to Chris Lashbrook. I'm just trying to find where he is currently on the track. He is coming down the hill at the moment, so this man is going to come across the line to finish fifth in this race. Sixth place for Tyler Lanzell, an absolutely ripper job from him. But yeah, this guy, this team, this FR Racing, they've done a great job to come back from that early incident to finish fifth place in this race. And yeah, there's not a lot else we can say about this really. I believe he is the last car on the track, so we're just waiting. Matt Donetti's going to come across the line to finish 8th place. I'm wondering who potentially finished 9th. If I am looking, I believe someone has left. That may have been Gardner, may have left. So we'll have to confirm what happened with that. But he's come back to the lane, and everyone has now finished. So there you go. That is our results. So Nick Carter comes home with the win with 1 lap over Scott Smith, and then other Scott Smith in second. So Hooncorp second, Renee Gracie Racing third, and then SA Racing fourth, FR Racing in fifth, Race Asylum in sixth, then LJ Racing seventh. Who is that? That is what they call it, Skardner Motorsport in 8th, and then Team XV in 9th, and then CP Motorsports, obviously with the DNF, unfortunately due to some errors with the driver changes, down in 10th. And then, mate, Mr. Nicholson, well done. Not only have you got 10th place, but you've also got 11th place. So, well done to you. I have got 12th, and Greenie, you have come home in 13th. So, brilliant drive, boys. That's absolutely wonderful. Great job all round from everyone there.
It's been good.
It has been a very good day. I'm just going to save the replay, that really extensively long replay. Holy shit. That's a lot of laps. But that'll do it. I might see if we can grab a quick chat with Mr. Nick Carter real quick. Let me just put this on mute, and I'll send him a message and just see if he feels like he's up for a chat. So I'll hand over to you boys just for a minute.
What an incredible 3 hours there, hey Riley.
Yeah, it was really good, man. Really good. Can't wait to look back the replay whilst I was looking back, and obviously just looking at different cars and seeing how they were doing, and then obviously Shoji was playing up there as well in their heads. So, but yeah, everyone did really well all around, and yeah, they did their part really well, and can't wait for more racing in next year.
Yeah, for sure. It's tricky with these enduros. Like, they ended up letting by themselves, but I don't know, just being in this commentary box, having the ability just to be able to watch everyone doing their own little things and seeing their little mistakes, and yeah, it's just been really good to actually sit back and watch. My first time commentating, and I like it. I like not having to stress. I like not sitting there sweating behind the rig, yelling at people for no reason. But nah, it's been good. There was some awesome comebacks, some absolute domination. And speaking of domination, we have Nick with us. Here he is, Nick, mate. How'd you go? How's your forearms?
The forearms are okay. The lower back's a little bit on the piss, but I got there. Not too bad.
Now, I got to say,
sure, mate.
I was watching you. We tuned in to various points throughout that race. You were pretty much on your own. Dusty Max, you said it was a grand slam. You got pole. You led every lap of the race, and you had the fastest lap of the race to boot. Is there anything you feel like you didn't do well in that race? Because from our perspective, that was absolutely picture perfect. I want to know, did you make any mistakes, or are you just an alien?
No, I wouldn't. I'm definitely not an alien. There's definitely boys out there that can smoke me any day of the week. But I had I'd say a very good race for 3 hours straight at the mountain. A couple of big mistakes that almost sent me into the wall a couple of times, but I managed just to hold it and keep it out. Didn't touch the wall once, except for 40 minutes to go when one of those Agent Smiths had a little spin in the dipper, or I can't remember exactly the part, but I come around, knew there was a yellow flag, and I was slowing, but you just sort of rolled back and just little clip, little touch of the wall. So I thought, there you go, mountain, take your piece.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, pretty happy with the way I drove. Pretty happy to get pole on the last lap I had. Basically, I had one more chance after that, but just right at the death there, I managed to sneak it. And overall, pretty consistent. The car drove pretty awesome. I love this car. It suits the track, but just happy to stay out of trouble, basically.
Yeah, we were on board for that quali lap you did towards the end of qualifying, and that was absolutely brilliant because you guys went out, like you and I believe it was Hyper, Brad Money went out and did your fast laps at the start of that session, and then no one was sort of really improving towards the end. But yeah, you did
have to wind back about 10
sorry.
seconds.
All good.
Someone called through. Someone called through and I couldn't hear. So
all good.
Talking about the end of quali, I think.
I was talking about we were on board at the end of quali. We were watching your fast lap, and we'd sort of spent the last few minutes before that talking about how the fast laps had been done at the beginning of the session. You and both yourself and Hyper hadn't really improved your times up to that point, and then we sort of tuned in, and here you are I think you're about 6 or 7 tenths up on your best time at that point, and went and did a 2:01.3, and I was absolutely blown away with that. But I think what blew me away more was I reckon there was very few times in that race you were out of the 2:03s. Like, you were extremely consistent with your lap times. Were you pushing? Like, I know you probably were pushing, but were you pushing, or were you just sort of going, I know what sort of number I have to drive to here, and just trying to get to the end?
I pushed pretty hard from the start. I try to drive that track I think you have to drive it around 95% all the time. Otherwise, you just make silly little mistakes here and there. And, one can lead into another really quick here. But I just try to get into that sort of, zone and just pump out the laps, just hit the markers and make sure you do your thing. But I wasn't aiming for any particular times. I was in the 2:03s. That's sort of, I guess, the number I was happy with and seemed to be working. But I wasn't exactly dropping people at a rapid pace early. I think a couple of mistakes in the pit stops might have helped me out or something. But just tried to stay consistent, and consistency did go up that race. So I was, I guess, consistent. I checked out my laps, and I think I made one invalid lap, and that was when I was just being a bit silly pushing for that fastest lap. And that was a little carrot towards the end. I thought I'd have a crack at if I could. So I noticed the track was improving again. I think it was cooling down, but I could just see the car feeling good. I think I was 40 minutes into a stint on the tyres, but the tyres I tried to save them, just drive smooth, but I wanted to have a go at that fastest lap. So I just had a crack and almost got it one lap, and then got it a couple of laps later, and then I could just chill out for the last few laps.
Yeah. No, it was excellent. I don't know, Greenie and Royal, you boys got any questions? Any questions you want to ask before we move on to wrap it all up?
I would say a question. Nick, why with your qualifying pace as well? Obviously I'm presuming you did a low fuel qualifying. I'm presuming, and my other question is as well, like, how can you get so consistent with the race that you just did, and obviously making a perfection every lap? How do you do it? Like, how can you know all this sort of stuff with different types of tracks that you do it?
Well, the pole lap actually was a kind of a lucky low fuel lap where I try to put in enough for about 10 minutes get a few laps, try to get into a rhythm. But towards the end, I think I was in third, and I wasn't improving, and then I crashed. I think around the dipper around the top, and jumped back in, dropped to a low fuel mode, went out, crashed again, pretty much the same spot or a similar spot, and then just dumped about. I think I had enough 10 litres or something like that. So it was quite a low fuel run and just happened to get the tyres warmed up just the right amount. And I knew I had to improve, and I knew where the car was quicker. And yeah, just the low fuel, I guess, definitely helped me hold a few little sections together. But yeah, I guess the consistency, I started sim racing a couple of years ago now, so I've been doing it a little while, pretty consistently for a couple of years. But a lot of it's just time in the sim, lap after lap. I don't spend huge amounts of time here. It varies from week to week. I've got a little girl and a wife, and a job. But I put it down to I've spent the last sort of 18 years mountain biking pretty seriously, and to me, if anyone ever's been mountain biking properly, there's about probably 150 to 200 corners and sections per track to memorize. And similar thing, you've got to brake, right? You have to have braking markers, braking points, or if you're trying to go at pace, you can bin it obviously very seriously and physically, obviously hurt yourself badly. So jumping into the sim was sort of I found it relaxing because it was just I don't know how many corners average per track, 10, 15 corners, and same thing, try to get into that little rhythm, mountain biking rhythm, and it's just something I enjoy doing, just zoning out and just seeing how much quicker you can get. So it's a fun thing. I had a lot of fun doing this, so I guess if you're having fun, it's always going to be easy to improve a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And yeah, no, it's always good that you enjoy it, and I don't think any of us would be doing it if we didn't find it fun. But it's been brilliant to watch you work today. It's been definitely a lesson that a lot of us have taken, and we look at I'm very excited actually to get all the results from this race and then have a look at what your actual consistency stat is for this race, because I reckon it's going to be very, very high up there in terms of how close your lap times all are to each other. But it's been an absolute pleasure to watch you work. Congratulations on the result today, Nick. You've done a brilliant job, and you've done a brilliant job all season. I know we were discussing earlier, the mini-series didn't exactly go the way you wanted, but hopefully we'll see you back for season 1, which will be launching early next year. So hopefully we'll see you back for season 1, and you've sort of I think you've made a statement today to show that this is what I can do. This is where I am, and look out, because once it gets to season 1, where you're coming for that title.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely be here for season 1 if it all fits in with my wife. I'll ask her first, but I'm sure I can squeeze it in. And it's been a pleasure racing with most of you guys. I mean, pretty much everyone's been awesome except the odd little pickle here and there. But obviously they were sorted out nicely. And look forward to round 1 to get the real one going. Yeah,
no, can't wait for it. All right, well, thanks very much for joining us, Nick. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Yep, thanks, guys, and thanks for everyone behind the scenes putting in your effort. I know through other people how much effort actually goes into setting this sort of stuff up, so appreciate you all in the background, and yeah, thanks, guys.
No worries, thanks, mate.
I'll let you, mate.
See you, mate. Well done.
All right, well, that'll do it, guys. Any final thoughts from you boys before we wrap up?
It's just that race had everything. I really enjoyed it, being on the commentary side for the first time. It's really good seeing and actually analysing everything, and I think everyone learned a lot that race, especially Mr. Donetti, speed in the pits. But it was awesome to watch, and I'm really excited for season 1.
Yeah, what about you, Riley?
Yeah, kind of putting on from what Greeny said, it's just, really good race to watch, and unfortunately I couldn't be a part of it, but but it was overall, it was a good race overall, and well done to you guys behind the scenes, and making it all happen. Yeah,
well, it's you were still a part of it, mate. You got to join us in the commentary box. It was a pleasure to have both of you. You wouldn't know this was sort of your first foray into commentaries. You've done a brilliant job, and I myself, I'm still fairly new to this whole thing. I haven't done a great deal of commentary, especially live commentary, when you can't edit things out. You have to sort of just do it, and you're sitting here for 3 hours, which is a long time to commentate a race. So you've done a brilliant job to sit here and guide us through all the action that's been unfolding. I'm just going to do a quick before we wrap up. I am going to do a quick driver of the day, and we're all allowed to have different ones. I want to stress that we can have the same. We don't have to have the same. My driver of the day is going to be the 253 car of Sale Levick and Aiden Rogers. I think those guys drove absolutely brilliantly to come home in 4th place. They really just sort of were they were the best of the rest today. Like those pro guys, Hoon Corp and Suter and Smith and Nick, those are guys we see sort of up the top all the time in everything that they do. And Rogers and Levick, they've come into this, and I'm sure they're very quick across other leagues as well. But they've had a bit of an up and down time in the mini series, and they've really just they had a couple of mistakes today, but really just kept it clean and did a great job. So for me, that's got to be my driver of the day.
Yeah, I think my driver today would definitely have to be Nick Carter. It was just complete dominance. He's probably one of the only guys that didn't make a mistake. He just done his laps, clocked him off, lapped the field. Like, he didn't really set a foot wrong. And yeah, I think that's speaks volumes and just in experience and just how much he's like passionate for the game. So yeah, my driver today goes to him.
Yeah. I think my driver of the day would be this will be surprising, but I think my driver of the day too will be with Lashbrook and Ridwan. I think they did show an incredible comeback after their first lap incident, and ever since then they've just put their head down, knew what they were doing, and just put the pedal down, and then they were gaining positions left to right and center, and then it just got to the point where it was sort of like downgrading a position, then upgrading a position. So yeah, I think in terms of both Ridwan and Lashbrook, I think they did a really amazing drive. Also, a special mention to James Hammond and Lansville as well. They did an incredible comeback drive as well. So yeah,
great, excellent. Well, I love it. It's a bit of an even spread, and I think all they all had great performances today. They all drove brilliantly, and that'll do it. So that is, we're going to draw to a close the first ever live stream on the AGT YouTube channel, and the first ever AGT Assetto Corsa Enduro. It might be a while before we do another one of these. We want to, I think there's been a lot of learnings to take away from this for both drivers and for us as admins to sort of look at how to make this even better. So this will be something that we'll revisit as we get into next year. But keep an eye out on the socials. We'll have season 1 and all that information, all that glorious information coming real soon. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, for tuning in, even if it was just for 5 minutes. We really appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure to be your host today. And keep an eye out for more Assetto Corsa and Gran Turismo content coming in the future. So, as always, my name's been Isaac. Thank you to Josh and Riley for joining me. We'll see you next time. Goodbye. And we're out. Wonderful.